Hello and welcome. I love that last little video there. It totally reminds me of my youngest little guy, Jackson. Completely adorable. Welcome to each and every one of you to the Mastermind Roadmap, where today we have a 3-hour live workshop where we are going to support you to position, launch, and lead your mastermind, please hear this, in less than 30 days. And if your brain just went like, oh my God, less than 30 days, is that even doable? Goodness gracious, we have clients that have done it in 24 hours, in less than 1 day. So welcome, I am thrilled to be here with you. Do me a favor, my friends. First things first, the little chat window. You know, if you click on the little chat window below there, introduce yourself, say hello, tell us where you're from. You will notice that, by the way, this is live and I'm going to be watching this, so you have questions, I'm going to interact with you. You'll see that one of my brilliant team members, Rob, is on the line there. He will help you out as well. And we've got people from all over the world. We've got from the United Kingdom, we've got from Long Island, we've got from another from the United Kingdom, and a whole whack of people from all over God's green earth. Now here's what I know, and I want to just say this right out of the gate. Lots of people just watch this thing without engaging in the chat. And I want you to engage in the chat. Here's the truth of the matter. You have my 30 years of experience. You have my entire team's resources here to serve and support you for the next little while. So for goodness sakes, do it. So let me tell you a little bit about us. Why should you be listening to me about masterminds? Well, that is a grand question. And the top of the list of answering that grand question is this, is that I have been leading masterminds literally for over 30 years in a variety of different formats. And I want to tell you how that transpired, because sometimes, and I kind of smirk at this, which is, I kind of smirk at this because sometimes people are like, hey, that was a really good idea of you jumping on the mastermind bandwagon. Well, one thing you got to know about me, I'm not much of a bandwagon jumper. And how I got to leading masterminds for so long is this. I own a company that was called Personal Best Seminars. We've rebranded to the Creators Code, and we've had about 40,000 people go through a very deep, intensive personal transformation process. And about, 27, 28 years ago, it occurred to me that lots of those people would have these incredible epiphanies and transformations. And by the way, if you've ever been in one of those sort of transformational experiences, just type in that you know what I'm talking about. But that moment of transformation. But then here's what would happen. They would go back to their lives. The lives they designed pre-transformation. And the gravity of the life that they designed would quite literally pull them back to the way that it used to be, with one distinction. It hurt more because they had a glimpse of what was possible. So, I am far more interested in real and lasting change than I am an epiphany or a momentary transformation. So what we did was we put together these mastermind groups to serve and support people to live into that transformation. And as I say, I started that over a quarter century ago, quite literally before we ever started teaching and training external coaches, authors, experts to position, launch, and lead their masterminds. We'd been doing it, quite literally, for a quarter century and had launched hundreds of masterminds within our own organization. So I come to this not as a Johnny-come-lately. I come to this with an incredible range of experience in the personal transformation field, in the spiritual development field, in the entrepreneurial development field, in the online business field. You name it, we have served and supported people to get their mastermind up and running. And by the way, I am curious as I look at this. Hello from Fort Lauderdale. Hello from Vancouver. Hello, Kevin and Tracy. Snowy Denver. Kim, I can't tell you how thrilled I am for a change. I'm not the one in the snow. By the way, it's good to see you here, Kim. Mooresville, North Carolina. Good to see you, Anthony. Good. In fact, you were on one of the calls earlier before. That's great. From Napoli, Pentegra. I don't even know where the hell that is, William. But regardless of where you are, welcome. I am thrilled that you are here. So that's a little bit about me and masterminds. Let's talk momentarily about... And by the way, gang, because we're on a tight time, I'm going to be watching my clock. It is, I'm not texting while we're live, I'm watching the clock. Let me tell you a little bit about why a mastermind is so important for you. The honest to goodness truth is, many of you are coaches, many of you are consultants, many of you are engaged in businesses that fundamentally still trade time for money. And the honest to goodness truth, my friends, that is an incredibly tough row to hoe. Like, I'm talking not a little bit, but a lot. And in fact, I will go so far as to say that many people who are in the coaching, training, consulting, that whole arena, your business was actually designed to fail. And it was designed to fail because you failed to design something that broke free of the time for money bind. And masterminds actually are one of the fastest, easiest, and most joyful ways to get from the one-on-one to the one-to-many. It works beautifully, and it works, frankly, every single time when you follow the steps. So here's what I want you to understand. Many of you are on a bunch of mailing lists. You're on people like, and let me just give you some examples. You're on Jeff Walker's mailing list. You're on Lisa Sasovich's mailing list. You're on Justin and Callan's mailing list. They've got two different last names, and I was having a brain fart. You are on Ted McGrath's mailing list. You're on Suzanne Evans' mailing list. So you see what some of the most successful people are doing in the coaching, training, and what I'm going to call intellectual property business. Here's what you may not know. Because each of them has, an online program, each of them has a live event, each of them has a bunch of things going on. But let me be very frank with you. Many of them, where the vast majority of their profit comes from, where a vast majority of the money that lands on the bottom line comes from, is not from the live event. It is not from the online launch. It is from their long-term premium masterminds. So it's funny when you think about it. It's like, hey, buy my, what you insert the blanks, and that could be anything from Speak to Sell to Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp to this, or any of those programs. Buy my program. That's not where they win. They win in the positioning of their premium mastermind, and I think you should do the same. Now, before I get too carried away, I just want to see, hello, hey Brad Lloyd, good to see you. Another one from Denver, fantastic. Fantastic, I love that. Auburn, California, beautiful, beautiful. Okay, so if you haven't already, and I know that sometimes it takes a little bit for you to log on, if you haven't already, say hello, introduce yourself in the chat below. Please know that this is live. I will answer these questions. We will take care of all of what you need to know. Our task here today is to learn how to position, launch, and lead a mastermind in 30 days or less. And somebody obviously didn't read the emails that talked that this is a 3-hour live workshop. This is a 3-hour live workshop. And by the way, in 3 hours, here's what we get to do. Scratch your head about what it's going to take for your mastermind. If you are going to run a mastermind, you're going to invest a hell of a lot more than 3 hours. But I would strongly suggest you juggle your life to be here now, because we will knock your socks off. Okay, now let's just talk a little bit about who is a mastermind for. And there are a lot of answers to this question, so I'm just going to give you the high-level answers, and then we're going to talk about how to get it up and running, okay? So first and foremost, a mastermind is incredibly easy and joyful to, knock out of the park if you happen to be a coach, an author, an expert who has a tribe of people who like you, love you, and they want more of you. Okay, so I call that having latent demand. So you've been successful in the coaching domain for maybe 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. Maybe you wrote a book that is starting to get some traction and people have been reaching out to you and they want more intimacy with you. They want to find out more of what's in your head and in your heart. Those things are slam dunks. Honest to God, we can start those masterminds from the other end of the court, blindfolded, throwing the ball backwards. That's easy. But it's also, and I want you to understand this, masterminds are for perhaps people that you might not think. So, a starting coach. Now, time and again, I see starting coaches set themselves up for struggle. But I fervently believe that if you position your mastermind well, a starting coach can absolutely do outstanding in setting up a mastermind. And here's the reason being, is that number one, breaking the time for money model is built into your business right from the get-go. And here's what happens. And here's a little secret. Lots of times, I've seen people be more successful in marketing their coaching when they're talking about a mastermind over here than when they're just actually selling the mastermind. So what I'm saying to you is this, is that you're out talking about your mastermind and somebody says, hey, I'm really interested in that, but I'm not quite ready for that. Could you help me get ready for that mastermind? And the answer to that is, of course. Let me talk to you about the one-on-one coaching. Jay Rook, a dear friend of mine, has gone through all of our programs, is a second-year lead member. He did more, and this is his quote. He did more in the first 90 days of 2017 than he did in all of 2016. Please hear this, Simply Positioning Mastermind, and he grew his coaching business. Okay, so you can start right at the very beginning. But let's talk about some more unusual topics of who else is for a mastermind. So I have actually a couple of friends who are Olympic medalists, a gold medalist and a silver medalist, and they have a very unique, let's call it a very unique cachet. They have people who want to be with them. They have access to, the back door at the Olympics. They can do event masterminds, which I'm going to talk to you about the different ways, different types of masterminds afterwards. And they have cool access. I also know a gentleman who wrote a personal development book, and personal development books translate beautifully into mastermind groups because you can build a little bit of a study group, you can build a little bit of a mastermind, you can weave the integration together. So, from the beginning coach to the expert who has a latent demand, to a newly published author, to somebody who is a Olympian. Here's one of the most unusual ones, a gentleman who actually built, he and his team built the Voyager space satellites. He built them, and he's working on expanding this idea of science and technology and how it's going to change the world in a mastermind group. So I don't care what you do, but I believe we could create support for your mastermind to get up and running. All right, I just want to check our chat. Hey, Tracy from Rochester, New York, good to see you. Hammond, good to see you. Valley, Utah, okay, terrific. Hey, Victor. Beautiful. So gang, here's one of the things that I want you to know is that as we go through this process, I am going to do teaching, I am going to do training. We have a whole bunch of different guests who are going to be here. So I want to just give you the broad strokes of what's going to happen before we dive in. One of the promises of this is to share with you what we call the Mastermind Roadmap. We sometimes call it the Mastermind Adventure Guide because it can absolutely be a bit of an adventure. And we're going to dive into the overview of the 10 steps to get your mastermind up and running. And then I have a series of guests. Then I have a series of content. Then I have a series of invitations to demonstrate what that looks like, what we actually do. So on that note, gang, I am going to, actually we'll do it on the easel first, and I'm going to go through the first 5 steps of the Mastermind Adventure Roadmap. Now, by the way, gang, again, if you have any questions, Jane M. Powers, how are you, my dear? Jane is a dear friend of mine from Arizona. It's like, but shouldn't you be working? Don't you have like a list of 3,982 things I gave you to do? I'm not sure you should be watching this. She's gonna type something rude very shortly, gang, I guarantee you. Okay. So let's start with the Mastermind Adventure, the Mastermind Roadmap. We are going to move over to the easel, and I am going to do some drawing. Dun, 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 dun. There we go. How's that looking? We're good? Fabulous. Okay, gang. Now, first thing I want you to know is this, is that the Mastermind Roadmap, or the Mastermind Adventure Guide, has 10 key steps to it. And I want to start with the broad overview. I'm not going to teach you a whole bunch here. As we go through the entire 3 hours, we're going to dive into a couple of these, a bunch more in depth and detail. I want you to understand as well that in 3 hours, that's, yes, this camera over here. And if ever I'm over, by the way, gang, when I said to you, it's live, it's really, really live, and my team is here and they're going to be helping us out as we go through this stuff as well. So if you hear voices or pointing or any of those sorts of things, we're just doing everything we can to serve and support you. So back to the Mastermind Adventure Guide. We're going to take a look at the first 5 in a moment or two. And gang, I would strongly suggest that if you have notes, you can write this stuff down so that you can make sure that you are clear and grounded and all the rest of it. But I'll also give you a little hint. We have this as a downloadable PDF that you can download. The amount of resources we have in this topic are quite astounding. Okay, so I'll give you the overview, then I'm going to dive in. The Mastermind Adventure Guide, so these are the first 5. Your promise, be the leader, your business model, the WCC, which we call the Wine Conversation and Cash funnel, and then we have, of course, the invitation, which has to be personal. Those are the first 5 steps. They certainly sound easy enough. However, I can tell you a couple of trouble spots, and I'll give you the broad strokes before we dive in. Number 1, the promise. I don't know how many stars I could fit on there, but the part I need you to know is that if you do not get the promise of your mastermind correct, everything else is an uphill battle. Now, please hear this. What we're talking about in terms of the promise is this. What will be different in your members' lives in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months? What will they have experienced? What results will they have? What type of support will they engage in? What kind of people will they know? That promise needs to be incredibly specific. And I'm going to give you a little hint here. You know, top of the list is this. In this promise, what you have to get to is their internal voice. What is the worry that's keeping them up at night? What are they already spending money on that they are trying to solve? And if you can speak to the heart, mind, and soul through your promise, you will have no trouble with your members. Now, one of these stars represents another little key piece to this, which is this, is that the promise isn't enough. The promise has to be communicated to the people that care about that promise. And time and again, by the way, gang, our studio this time is in my house, and clearly just pick it up and hang it up, it'll be fine. So we didn't think about the camera. We thought about everything, about the phone. We thought about everything else, but not the phone. Okay, so the promise has to be communicated to people who care about it, which is where you have to have your positioning correct. And this, by the way, is something that we dive into in great depth and detail in all of the programs that we teach. Now, I want to tell you something very important right now that I glossed over before I came to the easel. It is this. On this workshop, I have an incredible invitation for you. In fact, it's one of the most generous and phenomenal invitations that I have ever made. And it's something I'm incredibly proud of, because every single person on this live stream, I am ready to give over $3,000 of real value to. Please hear this, for free. No, you didn't mishear that, and I didn't make it up. It is for free. So if you really want to know how to get this promise and the positioning matched up, please stick around for that free invitation that is going to truly knock your socks off, because what I want more than anything else is to get your mastermind up and running. Okay? So that's the promise. We do an inordinate amount of work in our Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp at our Mastermind to Millions Live program in terms of crafting the promise and looking for what we call the lean in. You know you've got it right when your target audience leans in when you're talking about it. Actually, I got to tell you this one quick little story. So there's a woman named Lynn. She's in the Mastermind Bootcamp that just was coming to an end. And she was testing her promise at a conference. And so she was talking to this woman who she thought was absolutely her ideal client. And as she's talking about, and we call it a filtering script, and that filtering script is astounding. So she's talking to this woman with the filtering script, and there was this little cluster of ladies who were just like 3 feet away. And she's only halfway through describing her promise through the filtering script, and the other 3 ladies said, it's like, hey, I know that we're sort of like tailgating on this conversation, but what you're talking about is exactly what we want and need. And they come and interrupt her to ask her to share what she's doing. That's when you know your promise and your positioning is nailed, okay? So I could talk about this, by the way, for the next 72 hours, but I'll spare you. It's got to be right. Now, these first 2, I want to tell you, being the leader that your tribe wants to follow is absolutely imperative. If you are not the leader that your tribe wants to follow, then here's what happens. They don't follow, and you don't have a mastermind. Now, these 2, I want to just draw this together so you can see this. These 2 are the number 1 and the number 2 reasons why masterminds fail to launch. Okay? Now, please understand, there's 7,892 reasons why masterminds fail to continue. But for masterminds to fail to launch, it is actually only ever one of 2 things. The promise and positioning don't line up, or they do not see you as the leader of their tribe, in which case you've got some personal evolution work to do. One of the things that we do at Mastermind to Millions Live is some significant work around defining your personal context. What makes you the leader of that tribe? What really strengthens your capacity to serve that particular group of people? Now, apparently this is telemarketer heaven this afternoon, because that phone never rings. You can just unplug it right from the wall and take care of it. That way we don't have to listen to it. Okay. By the way, it's either telemarketing heaven, or I'm just looking at my dear friend Jean-Francois, or it's our guests phoning in, trying to make sure everything works out. We'll see. Okay, these 2 are key. Now, next up is business model. Now, I can't see the chat, but I'm going to be able to see the chat in a moment or 2. I'm going to go back. I am curious, how many of you on this training, how many of you at this workshop, how many of you want to launch a premium mastermind? And when I say a premium mastermind, we teach something called the ladder of ascension, and a premium mastermind would be something that would be towards the top of your business model. But here's the honest goodness truth. Masterminds can work at the very low end, at the front end of your model. They can work in the mid-range of your model. They can work at the very top end of your model. But here's where they don't work, is if you just make some shit up that actually doesn't get integrated into your model. You have to know, if you're doing a low-end model, there has to be some way for them to convert to higher-end clients, whether that's one-on-one coaching, whether that's a consulting contract, whether there's some version thereof. But if you are doing a premium mastermind, then your promise and your positioning becomes even more important. So you've got to know where it fits in your business model. There's no right to it, there's no wrong to it, but you've got to be deliberate with it. Now, I'm about to share with you a bit of jargon, and it's jargon that I will use a bunch of times while we're in this. And that jargon is this, the WCC. Now, here's what a WCC is. It's our internal code name of something we call wine, conversations, and cash. Okay? Wine, conversations, cash. So if you like to drink a little wine, if you like to have meaningful conversations, and you don't mind getting paid, WCCs will knock your socks off. So, in the step and the stage of the mastermind adventure, we've got the promise, we've got the position, we've done our personal work, we are the leader, we know exactly where it's going to fit on our business model. Then we start establishing relationships to invite people to these very hyper-targeted and intimate events that create social binding, that position us as a leader in that community, that begin to create value for people in that community. And this process here is one of the most significant. And again, we teach an inordinate amount about that at Mastermind to Millions Live, but here's the big piece I want you to understand, is that instead of going, and here would be my wish for each and every one of you, is never go to a networking event again in your life. Like never, don't do it. For the most part, they're silly. In most of those circumstances, what transpires is somebody's sitting there waiting for you to stop talking so that they can spew their particular little pitch they've been practicing in the elevator for you without actually wanting to serve and support you. This is hyper-targeted. The right people for your promise, the right people that you've positioned your entire group for, and you bring them together in an intimate, connected environment where the barriers go down, nobody's pitching anyone, but we're just building relationships. So you've got to get those people all targeted. That's a big one. And now number 5, we're going to do halfway through in this process, is the invitation. Now, once you understand who you're after, one of the key pieces is this. You are now going to craft a very personal invitation to get them to attend the WCCs. This is where we were building the list, the people we want to serve. Now is where we're going to take that list and actually do something more meaningful and significant with it. And this is where we craft a personal invitation. Now, for those of you, I know many of you looking at the chat, many of you are already in our Mastermind to Millions community. This is where the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease manual comes in, and it crafts a perfect example. But here's what I want you to understand. This is not a business invitation. This invitation is a personal invitation. This is speaking to somebody's true drivers and need. This is something that is a little bit fun. Maybe you shoot it on your boat, maybe you shoot it in your car, maybe you shoot it while you're playing with your kids, but it has a very personal bent to it. And you do not blast email to everyone on your list. You strategically select the people that you want to talk to. You text them, you phone them if you've got their number, you send them a Facebook Messenger and say, hey, I'm doing this unique, intimate event at my house, a group of movers and shakers and rock stars that I think you would absolutely love. Are you interested? And if they say yes, then you send them that personal invitation. Okay, now, here's what I can tell you, and I mean this in all seriousness. If you just did these first 5 without the other 5, which I'm going to share a little later in our show, if you just did these first 5 and you followed the steps in the order that I said them, you'd be further ahead than most human beings are in terms of their mastermind. Seriously, like you really, really would. Now, I'll come back to this momentarily. I'm going to actually go back to my easel, go back to my chair because I want to see a couple of the chats and all those fun, wonderful things. So we're going to move this out of the way momentarily. All right, gang. Fantastic. Love your energy. I love that you're here. Thank you. Okay, so I want to take a moment here, and it's going to take me a second here just to get this set up on my computer, if you can just bear with me for a moment or two. Because one of the key pieces that I think is of the utmost importance when we're talking about this whole mastermind process, one of the most important things is this. Most of us struggle in our life, in our relationship with our business. Most of us struggle because we are not perfectly clear about what it is that we want to create. We start with a great vision of, I want to serve humanity. I want to make a difference. I want to share my unique capacity with the world. I want to ease other people's troubles. You know, quite literally, part of my entire process for Mastermind to Millions, which I'll just say this now instead of later. Mastermind to Millions is a double entendre, which is this. I want you to be incredibly well rewarded financially for the service that you create on planet Earth. I'd love for you to make millions of dollars. Love for you to make millions of dollars. But frankly, more importantly than that, is that it is imperative, absolutely, utterly, completely, and powerfully imperative that you, me, people in what I'm going to call the helping professions, people who are serving and supporting other human beings, that we build communities, and I like to call them conscious communities of choice, that we build communities to provide the support that is necessary. Because the honest God truth is, one of the reasons that we struggle so much is that we're too damn independent. One of the reasons we struggle so much is that we don't tell the truth. One of the reasons that we struggle so much is that we don't have the strength of community around us. So the Mastermind to Millions is, I literally want millions of people on planet Earth participating and engaging in masterminds to create the results, the experiences, the contribution that they desire in their life. So here's what I want you to do, is just take a moment to watch this video. And this video is a beautiful reminder of vision. And by the way, it's produced by a gentleman named Ishmael, Ahmad Ishmael, which you should go subscribe to his channel. Actually, I got a little ahead of myself. You should go subscribe to his channel because it really is phenomenal and beautiful. Okay, yeah, I didn't give you a fair enough cue. Sorry about that, brother. Okay. You should go subscribe to his channel, but I want you to listen to this video and I want you to really get connected to your vision of serving and supporting your particular tribe. The real reason why you run this business, which is to make a difference. It's not just about making money. There's 12 billion ways to make money. If you choose to serve and support humanity, then you have a bigger mission at play, my friends. So I want you just to get connected to that while you watch this video. I'm ready now. How about you? We're good. All right.
Not a matter of whether or not we can. Everybody can, but not everybody will. How to turn nothing into something. How tangible are ideas and imagination? Ideas that become so powerful in your mind and your consciousness, they seem real to you even before they become tangible. Imagination that is so strong that you can actually see it. You can actually see it. If somebody cannot see it when it is not here, then it will never be here. Start looking into the future of what you would like to accomplish, where you would like to go, the person you would like to be. Decide what you want and then act as if you already had it. And that is to believe that what you imagine is possible for you. So the first step is to imagine what's possible. Second step, to believe. Now here's the third step, and that is to go to work and make it real. You now go to work and make it a movement. You make it tangible. You make it viable. You breathe life into it, and then you construct it.
You have a lot to offer. The fact that you're still here means that your business is not through yet. People don't do what they know in life, but what they do is they operate within the context of the vision they have of themselves.
So write and draw and build and play and dance and live as only you can. Make up your own rules. The rules on what is possible and impossible were made by people who had not tested the bounds of the possible by going beyond them.
You must change what's possible for you. You, and only you, are the subject that impacts the burning desire in your imagination. You are living and feeling as if your future dreams are a present fact.
Will it be easy? No. Will it be challenging? Yes.
So you got to prepare yourself. You've got to develop yourself. As long as you're breathing, you got some more work to do. There's something else for you to achieve. Guess what? You're going to make some mistakes. You're going to make a lot of mistakes.
So now go and make interesting mistakes, make amazing mistakes, make glorious and fantastic mistakes. Break rules, leave the world more interesting for your being here. Make good art.
It is possible to start with nothing and become something.
All right, gang. There we go. So, by the way, Ahmed's YouTube channel has some of the most deeply moving, emotional videos on planet Earth. So I just strongly recommend go check him out. He's fantastic. Now, a couple of other mechanical details here. First and foremost is that in a moment there's going to be a little button that's going to come up on your screen. And when that little button comes up on your screen, it is going to, you can click on that button and it is going to get you a PDF copy of what we call the Mastermind Adventure. So you've already, I've talked to you briefly about the first 5, but the other 5 are going to be there. Don't jump too far ahead. I just want you to stick with us for the moment or two. Yeah, we can pop that button up. And a couple of things as well. One of the key elements that I want you to know is this, is that as we go through today, remember the 2 first reasons why masterminds fail to launch is a promise and positioning mismatch or not being the leader that your tribe wants to follow. In this time that we're going to spend together, The part that we can absolutely handle is your promise. The part that we can absolutely handle is your positioning. And at any point in time, gang, if you want to, hey, Mr. Michael Neely, how the heck are you? So good to see you. Now, Jane Powers is networking in my chat window for my live stream with Michael Neely. What are the odds of you two doing that? That's fantastic. By the way, both of them are dear friends of mine. I'm giving them a hard time, and I guess I'm speaking on Michael's stage, and Jane's going to be speaking at Mastermind to Millions Live. Which actually, I guess Michael, we're going to see you at Mastermind to Millions Live as well. You're going to be having a booth there. So a couple of things about this. Just cycling back. Download that little PDF, keep it handy with you, and as we're going through all of the elements, I want you to continue to refine your promise, refine your positioning. You can put it in the chat window at any point in time. We have special segments set aside for Q&A where you can actually ask me questions. I'll provide feedback. I'll do anything I can to serve and support with that process. All right, gang. So on that note, Wendy Barr says, Jay Fazette rocks. Wendy Barr, I'm a fan of yours too. Make sure we haven't missed anything before we get hustling here. Da, 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 da. Yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape. So on that note, gang. Oh, squealy chair. I have a dear friend of mine who is one of our guests that I want to introduce you to. So I'm going to go over to our little introduction chair, and once I get settled there, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about our guest and what you can expect to learn from him, because frankly, he's outstanding. All right. Hello, brother. How are you?
Friend, doing well.
Okay. Now, that's interesting because I hear Charles, but Charles, you're not on for about another hour in terms of time frame. I have Jean-Francois up first.
Okay.
So we may have some production live technical difficulties here, but can we call you back, Charles, or can you call us back in, say, 40 minutes or so?
Absolutely.
Okay, you rock. All right. So now on that note, thanks, brother. Now on that note, I want to introduce you to our other guest. By the way, Charles will be back with us for segment 2. But I want to introduce you to a very dear friend of mine, and his name is Jean-Francois. And Jean-Francois is zooming into us from France, which is, I truly appreciate you staying up late to do this with us, because
I'm glad.
I know that you've been traveling and those sorts of things. You were just here for our lead facilitator development and mastermind piece. So Jean-Francois, number one, and I just want to set this up, in my humble opinion, is one of the most committed human beings to creating what it is that he wants in his life and in his business. And I just have epic respect for you, the work you do, the travel that you do, the investments that you make, because he is what I deem to be a true entrepreneur, because he does the shit that most people talk about but aren't willing to do. So on that note, I just want to say welcome. I admire and respect you, my friend. Thank you for being here.
Oh, thank you for inviting me. You know, I was listening to you and you reminded me about last year when I was watching your live stream, and I was so amazed about what I was hearing. It was just like, I need to go there. I need to go there. It was just so much.
Sorry, and you know what? We have just a little bit of delay, so I'm just going to pause a little longer at the end of my sentence so that we don't stand on one another. So tell us a little bit about, given that you started with that, I remember it last year. So tell me what you've been up to in the last year in terms of your masterminds and all those pieces.
It's been a crazy year. With my mastermind group, we decided to write a book on mastermind groups, and actually it's there now. We wrote that it's Mastermind Groups, Accelerators of Success, and it became clear that these principles that you teach and that mastermind groups can bring needs to happen in France and needs to happen in Europe, because it's really the ultimate group support that I think the world somehow needs. So we've been diving into this book in French, then it got translated into English. Then I started to watch your videos on YouTube. Then I was wondering, who is this guy that has so many things to teach me? And then it was clear that during the live stream, I was learning a lot. And yet, the thing that was missing, I wanted to be there with you so I could have some implementation tips. Because what I really have learned is that I can learn a lot about mastermind group, but it's really something different about implementing. And as you know, mastermind groups are really the ultimate place to be held accountable around your implementation. So becoming a lead member was kind of pushing me to the limit of, are you committed to what you say and what you're going to do? So this is why I came to the Mastermind Roadmap then, and I was again with Janet and you on the late calls at night but I was there. There was no other way, because I felt that so much, that it's the kind of place I love to be in. You know, when you have this sense of being part of a group that is the support you need, and that really holds you accountable.
It's a big deal.
It's a big deal. And I was today with a partner, and we were talking about our evolution. And I told him, you know, I raised my price 1,000 euros this year, just in 1 year, for every day I worked. Now it's 1,000 euros more than it was last year, because people in my group told me, you can do that. You deserve to do that. It's possible to do that. You can. Yeah. And sometimes I really feel like I was not able to tell that myself, even though I wanted to do that. Yeah. I needed people to tell me that I needed a permission, and also the accountability that would push me through the edge to actually doing it, and not just hoping it will happen.
Beautiful. So I want to back you up, because so number one, an additional 1,000 euros a day is a significant raise that you gave yourself as you built the confidence and all those pieces.
It's 100% more.
It's 100% more. Fabulous. So I want to back you up to maybe the same spot that somebody's in now, which is they saw a Facebook ad, somebody sent them an email, they somehow landed at this Mastermind Roadmap, and who the heck is Jay Fiset, and why do I care about the Mastermind Roadmap? But so what was the transition for you? Because, and I just want to say this out loud, is that, and because I alluded to it earlier, so I'll just say it now, is that I'm going to give everybody on this live stream a complimentary ticket to Mastermind to Millions Live and a whole bunch more things. But what was it for you when you're sitting in France, is like not having a clue who the heck I am or what we do or any of those sorts of things? How did you get yourself to just say, look, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going to go do this? Because lots of people are going to be quite literally like a half hour away, and it's like, oh, that seems so inconvenient. I have to cross the I-90, and you know, I don't cross the I-90, and you know, so I just want to, and by the way, if you live on the other side of the I-90, quit being a pain in the ass. So how did you get yourself to jump on a plane?
Actually, every time I was watching the live stream, I was learning something new. Do you know the 5 pillars you talked about just a few minutes ago? I didn't know I needed a positioning thing about mastermind groups. I didn't know the WCC could do so much wonder and among people, because I had no clue. And every time I was watching, it felt like, oh God, I need to know that. Oh God, I need to know that. Oh, okay, I need to do that. And then it became obvious that I read the PDF that you offered us last year, and it was one thing to read them, but I needed someone in a group that would hold me accountable to actually implement it. Yeah. And I was looking for that kind of group that was actually supportive and also was pushing me through my boundaries.
I get that.
So I really felt like if I only read the books, I would have only a piece of what could be achieved. And I was so totally committed to bring that to France. It's about the vision that I have. Mm-hmm. Yes. And I felt like what you offer was a direct pathway and to the vision I wanted to create. Yeah.
Fabulous. I love that. Now, let's just talk about the WCC as well. So these are, and just to be clear about this, gang, this is an intimate event where we hyper-target people and bring them together. We have a little sort of mini mastermind and do our very best to create value and to increase our influence, which I'm going to teach you a little bit about how to do that in our next segment. But you and your wife just completed a WCC in a freaking castle. And it looked, you know, the images, and I was trying to figure out if there was going to be a way in which we could show those images while we were doing this, and I didn't figure it out. But the part I want you to know is that, so they were in this ancient but beautiful castle in France, a very targeted group of people. The food looked like, you know, it was a Michelin 5-star restaurant.
It was.
Are there 5 stars for Michelin, or are there 3? Anyway, there's a lot of stars. There was a lot of stars. Yeah. Anyway, tell us just a little bit about the creation of that WCC, working with your wife, how it has connected you with your right tribe, with your great positioning.
Yeah, my wife and I are really. That's part of our common vision. We want to create spaces for people to really connect on the deepest level. And what we learned through the 4 questions of WCCs were so simple and yet so powerful in the way you dive into really the humanity of everyone. So that we try with the castle, it was a way to create a space where everything runs smooth. You know, we were kind of, a part of the restaurant was reserved for us, especially. We had some people serving us. It was just like, don't think about anything else, about just being here, connect with who is here. And we tried to connect also to create diversity. We had some CEOs there, high people, high CEOs, and also people who were unemployed. Mm-hmm. And so we were trying to match also the project of each and everyone as how an unemployed people can be of value to someone who is already a CEO, and how a CEO can create value to a person who is unemployed. And the food was awesome. You saw the picture. It just felt like art, and we chose the castle for that. And actually many friends in the lead community said it is so French in some way. See that kind of food. And we were amazed and blessed at the end about how ourselves we felt connected to them, mm-hmm. and not just them among themselves. Yeah. And it was really a blessing to have that. It's so rare to have that kind of connection and to really be of help.
Jean-Francois, I want to dive in because it is so rare in day-to-day life and in how most people do business. But the truth is, when you hyper target, you get the right people for the right promise and the right positioning, and you dive into the 4 questions. And by the way, at Mastermind to Millions Live, which I'm going to be inviting you to, you will actually experience this in person. I will facilitate one of these things so you know exactly what it feels like, the embodied experience to take back to your tribe. But the truth is, when that environment happens, and we do that deliberately, and we ask those questions, it becomes a common experience, and that's what makes masterminds work. Would you add anything to that? Just because I so love how you said that, because how most people do it is surfacey and chit-chat bullshitty, and it doesn't really work. But when we get to the heart of it and do it right.
Yeah, and we talked about that in the facilitator development. In the WCC, we take the business off the stage for the human relationship to be the center of the stage.
Yes.
And this is, I told you, I'm not a business guy. I don't have that kind of background. But when I took that pressure off so that people can really relate one to another, then the magic happened. And then they were willing to go beyond just, okay, what's next? What's the next step? Because they were craving for that kind of relationship and kind of connection.
That's true. All right, my friend, we have a show to stay on schedule. I could talk with you for the rest of the day, but I do have just one last question, which is this. Right after we're done here, I'm going to invite these brilliant human beings who are on this workshop and live stream to attend Mastermind to Millions Live and to get a whole bunch of other perks and bonuses. And you know, many of them are going to have, well, I've got kids, I stubbed my toe, mercury's in Gatorade, it's across the I-90, there's some reason why it's inconvenient. What would you say to somebody, because that's one of the reasons I wanted you to be here, what would you say to somebody who is wanting to scale their business but unwilling to do what's necessary, or at least playing with the excuses of why they don't want to do what's necessary?
Yeah. I will tell them I have 2 kids 7 and 10. My wife is self-employed. I didn't have the time to come, but it was the steps I went through with your content from YouTube, from the live stream to the boot camp was like it was self-evident because I was committed to having my mastermind group up and running, and I became aware that I wasn't having the tools yet to create what I wanted to create. But I was so committed to bring that to France. Again, it has to really connect to what was my mission, what was the vision I was trying to create, and it was the kind of gap I was waiting to cross for that to happen.
I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us. And again, I have epic respect for your commitment to what you are creating in France. Enjoy a glass of wine and now go to bed. Good night, Jean-Francois. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bless
Bye-bye.
you.
All right. So on that note, gang, in a moment, I'm going to switch over to the other table there, and because I want to share with you a couple of things that I have on my computer screen that are important and significant. So here's what's going to transpire. In a moment, I am going to share with you a free invitation. Yes, I said free, a free invitation that, honest to goodness, you ought to be on the edge of your seat for, because it is unbelievably generous and it will make a monumental difference for you. So I'm going to wander over there and we are going to do that. And I wanted to check in, see if we have any things here. Can't wait to see you, Michael. There we go. Can you please put up the link to the PDF again? We're just the crew is busy working on all of those pieces, but we will absolutely make sure that it comes up again a couple of times throughout our time together here, because we will also be doing the last 5. Oh, as I'm looking at my screen, I'm over here. Hola, hello. We will also put it up again because I'm going to be teaching a couple of key elements on the last 5 pieces of the Mastermind Adventure. All right, gang, so I need to get a couple of things set up here for you momentarily here before I go through this process. So I've alluded to it a couple of times, so let me just make this simple, clear, and easy, which is this. I want you to make a commitment to get your mastermind up and running in the next 30 days. And I want to be very clear about this. People have done it in as fast as 1 day. People, depending upon where they're at and what they're working on, all those sorts of things, are often in the 60 to 90 days. If you dedicate yourself, you could do it in 30 days. And there's a variety of ways and tools in which we teach it, but I'm going to share with you the fastest, the easiest, the most direct, with the most support at the epic price of free that is available anywhere on planet Earth. So top of the list is this, is that you have, if you choose to do this with us, you have the opportunity to, number 1, you will get a complimentary ticket to Mastermind to Millions Live. That happens June 1st through 3rd in Phoenix. And that particular event is, quite frankly, that's the event that Jean-Francois was just talking about, getting on the plane and flying from France. That event is the premium, world-class training live event on planet Earth for masterminds. And the honest goodness truth is this: I can move you further in 3 days being in my space in that process. I can move you further in 3 days than you can move in 3 months, 6 months, or 9 months on your home with an at-home study course. In 3 days, we can move mountains. Now, that ticket, by the way, is $997. Okay, so that's gift number 1 for you. Now, here's gift number 2. And just to be clear about this, the first 100 people that say yes to this, the first 100 people are going to get these bonuses as well. So number 1 is this, the Mastermind Essentials Training Program. Because here's the honest to goodness truth. You know, what are we at here? We're at April 24th, the Mastermind to Millions Live. It doesn't start until June 1st. And that might seem like, oh my goodness, oh my goodness, that's a bit of time away. So we have a program that is called Mastermind Essentials, and Mastermind Essentials is the 6 pillars of masterminds that work, and a ton of the manuals. You get the commitment manual. I'm going to show you in a moment or two, but you get that as well. And by the way, that sells for $497, and you get instant access to it. Then, 30 days prior to Mastermind to Millions Live, you start on what we call the Mastermind Roadmap. It's an email a day for 30 days. It is one simple action that's going to help you refine your positioning. It's one simple action that's going to make your list for your WCCs. It's one simple action that's going to craft the positioning. It's one simple action. And honest to goodness, my friends, when those simple actions for 30 days accumulate and you have the momentum, and it is not small momentum, it is epic freaking momentum. When you have the momentum of those 30 days and you come to Mastermind to Millions Live, you will walk out that door and your mastermind will be a reality. It will be the manifestation of the vision that you were just thinking about when I asked you to watch that video. It is stunning. Now, to up the ante, and keep in mind what I'm talking about, every single thing that I've just said, I'm going to offer you for free, okay? So don't get all wigged out about it's like, oh, what's going to happen? It's simple. You're going to make a commitment. You're going to be able to do it for free. And then this is one of my favorites, by the way, is that, oh, and by the way, I forgot to tell you, the 30-day Mastermind Roadmap, that's a $997 value, that little 30-day course. Now, here's the thing. The day before Mastermind to Millions Live, so this is going to be May 31st, the day before Mastermind to Millions Live, we are going to do a pre-event mastermind. And that pre-event mastermind helps you take everything that you learned in those 30 days. It helps you to make sure that you are perfectly clear about the support that you need while you're at Mastermind to Millions Live so that you can knock your weekend out of the park. And that mastermind is with me and my mastermind members. It's for 2.5 hours prior to Mastermind to Millions Live so that you land ready to roll. And by the way, you and I both know this. If you've ever attended an event, that this happens. It's like the event starts Friday morning at 9 a.m. And while your body arrives at 9 a.m., the rest of your brain and belief system and consciousness doesn't arrive till just after lunch. So it really helps you to get there a day before, get yourself settled, meet some of the people, actually experience what a mastermind really is, and get clear about what it is that you want. And that's a $997 value. Now, here's the thing. I think that's the big picture that I wanted you to see. If we can, there's a little button here, and I'm going to describe what the button is. So I've told you a bunch of times that you can get all of these things for free. And by the way, this adds up to $3,488. All in. And you get instant access to Mastermind Essentials. It starts now. Not in 5 minutes, not in 15 minutes, not in like now. Here's the thing. It is a $197 seat deposit or seat reservation. And what that means is this, because I want you at the live event because I know that's where the biggest thing happens. That's where we can shift you heart, mind, and soul into getting these things done. So I want you at the live event. So you simply make a $197 seat reservation deposit. That will go on your credit card now. When you arrive at Mastermind to Millions Live, you will pick up your name tag and we will hand you a check. Okay? That simple, that clean, that easy, and it makes it 100% free. Now, deep breath. I want to show you a couple things. And if we could actually do me a favor and put my head in, just like that. They're good. Okay, so when you click the button on the right, and that is that little, it says join button. When you click the button on the right, it's going to take you to this page. It details everything that I just said. The complimentary ticket, the first 100 people are going to get the Mastermind Essentials online bonus for $497. The Mastermind Roadmap 30-day challenge for $997. The pre-event mastermind experience with me and the mastermind mentors, another $997. All you do is fill in your name, click the button, it's $197. And by the way, I always get asked this question, it's like, what if more people want to come? Then you simply make that same seat reservation deposit. You can change the quantity, you can bring your associate, you can bring somebody you did your coach training with, you can bring somebody that you co-wrote a book with, you can do whatever your little heart desires. I will extend this offer. The first 100 people get those bonuses. Now, where are we at time-wise? Okay, now I want to show you something, my friends, because you need to know what the Mastermind Essentials program is. And I'm going to just pop this open. So the Mastermind Essentials program is this. Every time you are going to position, launch, and lead a mastermind, you must line up the 6 pillars of masterminds that work. And the Mastermind Essentials program, let me get this popped up so you can actually see it. The Mastermind Essentials program steps you through those 6 pillars. And this is imperative because here's the honest goodness truth. And I'll just tell you what they are. The first of which is perfect positioning. We already talked about that a little bit and it is the most important of all of it. Then there is personal evolution, being the leader that they want to follow. Then there's fill your mastermind with ease. This is the wine, conversation, and cash piece that we were talking about with Jean-Francois. Now those first 3 modules, that's about getting your mastermind up and running. But the final 3 modules, which are perhaps even more important, and some of you have marketing abilities and not great facilitating and leadership abilities, and some of you have great leadership abilities and facilitating abilities and marginal marketing abilities. But the truth is you have to line all 6 of these things up. So The final 3 modules are commitment, how to get commitment, how to reset commitment, how to recreate commitment. Then there's facilitating skills. How do you actually manage one of these small groups in a way that it really connects and gets through to people? And of course, compelling content, because we want you to have little content bombs that make a monumental difference for moving your group forward with its stated purpose and promise. So those are the 6 pillars, and the Mastermind Essentials program, and there we go. I need to just go back. Give me one momento. I got that a little bit too big there. There we go. So then what transpires is there's getting started. And then in each one of the modules, there's a video and there are additional resources. So let's just use commitment for fun and entertainment. So in the commitment module, you will see that there is also the Mastermind Commitment Day Manual. Now this is a facilitator's manual for you to do at the beginning of your masterminds to set the tone and the context and the frame of reference for them to really understand what they're committing to and what they want to get out of it. Then there's a couple of other tools. We use a declaration/contracting process to remind people why they're in the mastermind. And we go into great depth and detail about how to use that at Mastermind to Millions Live. That, honest to goodness, you getting on a plane or in a car or sticking your thumb out, whatever it takes to get your ass there, if you just learned the commitment piece, your mastermind will be head and shoulders above the vast majority. So that's every single one of those. And that is the Mastermind Essentials program that you will get when you purchase, or you don't purchase it, I guess, when you make the deposit for your entire package. You get that deposit back when you arrive at Mastermind to Millions Live in Phoenix on, it starts June 1st, but you should come the day before so you can participate in the mastermind, which is May 31st. Now, one last thing. I got so much I want to share with you guys, and I want to get it done in the time that we can. What I want you to do is this, is I want you to understand and to recognize one fundamental truth, which is this. Whenever I go to events, like every single time, I always choose to go VIP. And the reason I choose to go VIP is that it provides access to some of the, quote, more committed people. I should have asked Jean-Francois about that because I know he came VIP. I know he came to the pre-event mastermind. I know that we got to hang out and have a glass of wine. I know that I introduced him to a bunch of our speakers and all of those things ahead of time because he and I had already connected and developed a bit of a relationship. But here's the thing. If you're going to invest the time, the effort, the energy to get your butt to Mastermind to Millions Live, here's the thing. Pony up a little extra cash and go VIP. So what you get for VIP, so you understand what the distinction is number one, you get earlier access and you get protected seating. You get a VIP reception, which is a nice little wine and cheese scenario that happens on the evening before, which is the Thursday night. On both Friday night and Saturday night, we have sort of like after hours, post-event content. This is where we're going to do one of the WCCs. For each of those, you also end up getting a couple of little wine tickets. You also get access for the lunches, which we pay beautiful spread for food. So we take care of your food for you for all of the lunches, and you get access to some of our speakers. Now, a couple of the speakers that we have, Jason Gaynard, who leads an event called Mastermind Talks. It is arguably the number one-off mastermind on planet Earth. 150 people every single year. It started at like $2,500. It's now like $10,000, and he just continues to up-level both the people who are there and the caliber of their content and what they actually create. It's astounding. He's going to be one of our keynotes, as is Christian Michelson, who is going to actually share with us one of the conversion mechanisms. I'm going to talk about that on the last 5 of the Mastermind Adventure, which is called Free Sessions That Sell. And then, of course, Jane Powers, who I was teasing earlier in my chat window, she's going to be teaching about speaking to sell. And that's, by the way, one of the questions I had earlier. So you get access to those people. You get additional Q&As from me. You get to have a sort of royal treatment. So here's what happens. When you make your $197 seat deposit, you'll be asked, do you want to go VIP? Now, VIP on early bird is $397. But if you say yes today and only today, then it's just another $100. So you would get it for a total of $297. And when you do go VIP, I want to be clear about this, nothing is refundable. You don't get your seat deposit back. Because frankly, the food, the drinks, the wine, your goodie bag, all of those pieces cost me more than $297. It actually costs about $412, just to be clear. So if you want the royal treatment and you want to take advantage of it today, you can do it. So click the button, get yourself registered, and come to Mastermind to Millions Live. Okay, we can just turn that stuff off there. I want to just go back to the chat window and see if there's anything that I can answer there. Perfect, perfect, perfect. She is awesome, that is true. Is that Jane saying, yes, I'm awesome? Yes, I think that it is. Okay, gang. So here's the thing. It's all well and fine for me to talk about Masterminds Millions Live, but you truly need to see it and get a sense of it. So I have a video that I want you to watch, and it gives you a great snapshot, and you might even see somebody familiar like Jean-Francois in the video. So if you could roll that for me, please.
I love the fact that there was a huge variety of people here today. Coaches, public speakers, all kinds of walks of life, and yet they were all able to detect the power that masterminds could give to them.
I think the power of a mastermind is really utilizing individuals, their wisdom, and their experience.
Meeting new, unbelievable people who are actually leading a tribe of movers and shakers.
Not only the caliber of the people in the room, but the hearts and the openness, the friendliness, the kindness.
The resources are here because Jay knows the right people, and he is the world expert in masterminds.
What I like about the way that Jay does masterminds is it's not sort of that traditional, you think you get a group of your friends together and you start just talking out ideas. He's got some really unique and creative things that he talks about.
Everything they said we were going to learn, we learned 10 times more, and he does talk fast, so bring your recorders.
You definitely don't want to step out the room because you don't know what you're going to miss.
The content is gold. It's just solid gold.
Every minute is crammed with how-tos and inspiration and motivation.
This is where you learn all the mechanics. The 1, the 2, and the 3. You learn the roadmap. You learn how to be a leader.
How to actually structure it, and the price points that I can actually charge to actually make a living out of this.
So being able to see someone who's run like 1.5 million masterminds is really cool, especially getting to ask him questions around the specific situations. Like he knows everything. Like, it's amazing.
Jay is definitely the real deal. He just showered us with all his knowledge and all his brilliance for 3 days.
Jay is the most wonderful, authentic, kind, empathic leader I have met. He wants the best for us, and he really wants us to be financially successful so we can be out in the world and share what we know to other people.
He wants people who have a message to really take that message deeper, find a core community of people, and have a massive impact.
There's a lot of people that I've met here that barely even have a business and are walking away with, like, actually I know what my mastermind should be and who I'm gonna target and where I'm gonna find my people. And then people like me who have had a mastermind for a little while, I know how to grow it and know how to scale.
We should have paid a lot more money than we did.
Now I feel like it's possible. It's possible for me. Where I have to go, what I have to do to make my mastermind group up and running.
Getting to the grand vision that I want to accomplish is going to be able to happen by having learned the techniques and principles behind running an effective one.
There's a little bit of everything, and at the same time it's all for one vision, to make sure that everybody here who comes to follow him becomes leader in their own ways, leader in their own community, and going to lead extraordinary lives while leading by example.
I recommend Mastermind the Millions to anyone who's trying to start and lead a group of people who are dedicated to making a change, making the difference.
Jay and his team are really good at helping us integrate and turn our passions into a profit that we can make a living at and love what we're doing.
All right, gang. So you can get a sense that that event frankly rocks. And the truth is, and I was just looking at what Rob had typed in the chat window, is that this will be the strongest one yet. And that is true. And it is true for a variety of reasons. Number one, we always do our best to continue to upgrade and up-level what it is that we deliver, obviously. In addition to that, though, the caliber of the speakers and the targeting of the speakers, I think, is some of the best on planet Earth, who are there to serve and support you to get your mastermind up and running. And then really the third part of why this one is going to be head and shoulders above is this, is that we are going to take a particular emphasis this time on one-off masterminds. And I'm going to foreshadow a little bit because I'm going to talk about mastermind structures in a moment or two. But one-off masterminds is important because there are people who have great engagement with their tribe. Their positioning is on, all those things, but they haven't quite established enough influence that people are willing to say, hey, I'm in your mastermind for a year. Here's my $10,000 bucks, here's my $15,000 bucks, here's my whatever the case may be. And And the truth is, what they require is a safer way to commit, to engage, to find out. So this entire event, we are going to twist and look at all of the pieces from the perspective of what's a one-off mastermind that you could position, launch, and lead quickly. And that's one of the reasons why Jason Gaynard is going to be there to share his success. And let me put this in perspective about his success. So there's 150 people that come to the event on an annual basis. And approximately 40% of those people are allowed to return a second year or a third year. And then 60% come in and to sort of invest, enliven, you know, put some new blood into the community. Now, I'm very honored and blessed to be invited back for my third year. What's fascinating about this is 150 people per year. And the number of applications he has received, get this, 14,000. So just to put that in perspective, it is statistically more difficult to get into mastermind talks for his one-off mastermind than it is to get into Harvard. Think that through for a little bit. And Jason will be there to share all of his tips, all of his tools, all of his processes to make that happen. All right, my friends, so here's what we do. At this stage of the game, at the top of the hour, I always take time to answer questions. And what I would love for you to do is this. Whatever questions you have about your particular mastermind, whatever questions you have about your promise or your positioning, if you type them in the little chat window, I will address them. Now, just to be clear about this, I have a whole whack of questions that are some of the frequently asked questions. I've had a couple of people who have been in my bootcamp and who've already registered for Mastermind to Millions Live, sending me questions that I said I would answer. But I always give priority to the people who are here live. So if you are here live and you have a question, it's like, hey, what about this and masterminds? Now is the time, and I will do my very best to answer as completely and as thoroughly as I possibly can. And just to put this in perspective, you know, like my day rate currently is $15K US. So I'm here, you got my brain, I would suggest you use it. That would be a prudent thing for you. Sharp. Okay, while we're waiting for any of the typing and for you to craft those questions, I will answer a question that I promised my dear friend Kevin Smith and his partner, which is this. I am presenting on a stage and I have a very particular topic and I want to do a soft offer for my mastermind. And I can't do a, quote, full-on sell of, you know, take the forms, fill it out and all the rest of it, but I can do a soft offer. And this, by the way, is a fabulous question that I want everyone to wrap their head and heart around. Because if you are a speaker, the honest to goodness thing, you absolutely must, and I mean must, you absolutely must embed what I'm about to teach you into every single presentation you make from now until the end of time. And here's the honest God truth. I would wager if you do this, you will make more money speaking, just embedding this little phrase in this little process, than you ever have before. Okay, I'm actually going to go to the easel because I want to write it out a little bit because I want you to truly, genuinely get this. And just as I'm looking at this whole piece, who originally started this whole idea of masterminds was a question. Kim has already answered. Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich. Actually, I want to just address this because Napoleon Hill created the phrase mastermind in Think and Grow Rich. The story goes, depending on if you believe it or not, that he was hired by Andrew Carnegie to go find out what the most successful human beings on planet Earth were doing, and he discovered that they had these groups of people around them that shared their network, their wisdom, their resources, and experiences. By the way, that's probably worth writing down if you don't already have it down, which is the whole purpose of mastermind is to have a group of people that share their network, wisdom, resources, and experiences. Now, that was the popularization of it. One of the things I want you to consider is this, is that masterminds have been around since the beginning of time. Since the beginning of time. Frankly, cavemen had masterminds doing their damnedest to make sure that they didn't die and get eaten by a saber-toothed tiger. For those of you who are Christians, Jesus and the Apostles was a mastermind group that seemed to actually get some traction given that there's some billions of people around that actually believe in Christianity and Jesus and all those sorts of things. Many of you are American. Looking at where they're coming from here, here's an interesting piece. If you look at the founding fathers of the United States, they were a mastermind group trying to figure out what it was going to take for them to actually create the freedom and to break free from what they perceived to be the tyranny of England and taxes. So mastermind groups have been around since the beginning of time. You might already even be in a mastermind and not know it. Sometimes they're called friendships. But what we're talking about here is a larger, more structured, and more purposeful type of mastermind. I trust that makes some sense. Okay, let me get back to what we were talking about in terms of... It sounds like somebody's having an aneurysm outside, or I don't know what that is. Okay, let me answer this question about speaking. We're going to move this over. All right, we're moving cameras. I'm looking here. Yes? Oh, there we go. I was going to say, that doesn't look the same. So, mastermind from stage. So if you're going to do a mastermind from stage, which, by the way, you should, okay? If you speak, this is something that absolutely always has to happen. So you are going to begin to create a catalog of examples. And those examples are going to sound a little bit like this. And by the way, if this sounds in any way, shape, or form staged to you, just know that I'm giving you an example. It's much smoother when I do it in real life, just to be clear. Okay, an example such as this is that, so I was working with my dear friend Ari, who is a past Olympian, in our mastermind group. And what we were working on was X. And then you follow what we would call a case study. And in terms of the case study that we use, is very simple. Case study model is PAR. PAR is simply problem. So Ari, my Olympian client, had this particular problem. And in my mastermind, the group and I supported him to get clear about the action that he was going to take. And when he took that action, this was the result that he created. Now, please understand this. What you are doing is you are seeding influence, you are seeding results, you are seeding community, you are seeding the mastermind group, all the rest of it. But none of that is the purpose of your speech. This is simply and you're, by the way, going to have like 7 to 10 of these that reinforce the points that you speak about. And you're going to go through this entire process, and at the end of it, you're going to say something like this, which is, you know, I'm not here to talk about my mastermind group, and the truth of the matter is that most of you probably wouldn't fit in it, but if you think that it might be something for you, talk to me. I might be able to get you an application. Now please hear, just that sentence. I have clients that have added 6 figures to their bottom line. They just keep speaking about the same stuff they've always spoken about, except their examples now tie in the mastermind group and position them, their mastermind group, and the people that they serve in incredibly powerful ways. And it's like, hey, probably not for most of you, but if you want an application, come talk to me. And then instead of some big sales pitch and song and dance in the room, then all it is somebody comes out and says, you know, that group actually sounds like it might be right for me. It's like, well, let's have a couple of, let's chat a little bit, and if it is, then I'll give you an application, we can talk about it. That is the way to do a soft offer for a mastermind. And by the way, all of you should be doing it every single time you speak. Jane Powers. All right, so that's that. I'm coming back this way. Wait, I didn't give you much warning. Sorry. I want to make sure there's a couple other questions here. My offering is help business owners break through internal resistance so that they can be in the top of their game every day. Can you please review this promise? Anand, I think, if I said that correctly, Anand. So I think that the promise is sound in terms of the direction that you're heading, Anand. The thing that I would ask you to do is this, is that when we position the promise, and we want it really strong with the group that we're speaking to, is that the idea is to use their language, not ours. And as I read that, Anand, that's pretty clearly your language, and you've got, I'm guessing, a model and a process that you've been working with people. Yahoo, that's fantastic. However, I would be asking the clients that you've already served the words that they use to describe that process. And that would be how I would frame the promise in their words. So it sounds like it's on track, but we're moving and shaking. Done that already, in fact. Excellent, Rob. Make sure we're all good. Anthony, is this something that can work for pastors? My focus is on small to mid-sized churches, specifically youth pastors who are often underpaid and bivocational. Bivocational, not bio. Yeah, it's not a biology class, it's bivocational. Okay. Sorry, some of the jokes are just for me. So Anthony, by the way, it's good to see you again. And absolutely, without a doubt, this can work within churches. And in fact, churches already have a really solid experience of community. And one of the hurdles that we're already getting past when we're rolling things out like masterminds in churches is that they understand the value of community. That's part of the reason why they've been showing up on Sundays. What we need to do is to specify more of the promise of what the mastermind is going to be. And what I really liked was specifically youth pastors who are often underpaid. I know of examples where the masterminds were run independent of the church, meaning that the pastor's got agreement to say, hey, there are some people within the community that we're not serving in the manner that they want to be served. Is it okay if I make an additional offer to them that happens outside the church? We'll tithe back to the church. We'll make sure that it's well worth their while. We'll contribute to the church. We'll volunteer for the church, all those things, so that it's still equitable and fair. I also am aware of churches and organizations that actually just run mastermind groups think of it as like a paid variation of any of the additional classes. So instead of it just being, and by the way, this was the Ernest Holmes Science of Mind churches, and I know that they changed their names, but I don't know what it was right now. But the Science of Mind Ernest Holmes churches, they were actually doing series of book study groups, series of mini mastermind groups that were just additional fees. It was like taking an extra course through the church. So Anthony, that is a brilliant application of that process for sure. All right, I think I have time for one more quick question. Oh, hey, Kevin, I didn't know you were here. I'm so glad that you heard the answer to the question, because I was going to have that edited and sent to you. But just practice. So, Kevin, I just want to address this clearly for you. So, Kevin, it is the quality of the example and it is the smoothness of the delivery that makes that work. And then I'm just going to add one additional mechanic for you, by the way. Because I know that you can make, it's a soft offer. This was perhaps softer than what you're set up for. When the applications go out, and by the way, gang, I'm going to talk more about this when we do the next 5 pieces of the Mastermind Adventure Roadmap. When the applications go out, do not handle that in a willy-nilly manner. It's not like, hey, here's an application, good luck. The application only gets handed out when they sign for it. So their name, their email, their phone number, their contact information, so we know exactly who they are, because they do not go out to everyone by any stretch of the imagination. And an agreement as to when it's going to come back. All right, fantastic. You've got the application. We need that back in 24, 36, 48 hours, whatever the case may be. That is imperative. Otherwise, it is not valued in terms of the significance and the specificity of the invitation. I trust that makes sense to you. All right, my friends. And Kevin says, to all, if you're in this training and kicking the tires, Jay is the real deal. I just finished my Mastermind Bootcamp and he and his team way over-delivered on my financial investment. Thank you, brother. I truly appreciate that. And I'll buy you extra wine at Mastermind to Millions Live. I'm not above bribery. Everybody knows that. All right, gang, we got to get hustling along. So one of the things that I think we need to move to next is, because I want to teach you a couple of really quick things. I want to get Charles Bird, our early interviewer, back on the line momentarily. I want to talk for a moment or two about why marketing masterminds in the traditional manner doesn't work. And I can't tell you how many times I have people who show up in our boot camp or come to Mastermind to Millions Live, and they say to me, it's like, okay, so what I want to know is who should I target on Facebook to get my XYZ or LMNOP? And my answer is almost invariably, don't. And the reason being is that buying a mastermind is not like buying an online course. Buying a mastermind is not like downloading somebody's free PDF. Buying a mastermind is not like anything else. Hell, it's not even like coaching. So I'm going to go over to the easel and I'm going to share with you one of the evolutionary things that you've got to start thinking about for your mastermind. And the easel is still in place. Yahoo! All right. Marketing masterminds. Again, a whole bunch of reasons why this is important and significant, but we're going to start at the bottom. And what we're going to talk about is the evolution of the relationship that I want. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong camera again. Hello! I was going to say something smart ass, but it was like, so next time we do this, gang, we just need like a really attractive, cute girl behind the camera that I'm supposed to be looking at, and it's going to work every single time. And if my dear wife Corey were here, she'd give me the finger and give me a raised eyebrow. Okay, so we're looking at the relationship that we are going to move up. So here's the thing that you've got to keep in mind, is that at the bottom here, in terms of relationship, is that we have awareness. Now, if you are leading a mastermind, task 1 is that people need to know that you're even there, that you're in the marketplace, that you're doing something in this domain. But just because they know that doesn't mean they care, doesn't mean that they are paying attention, doesn't mean that they think it's a fit, doesn't mean anything. They just happen to be aware of you. Now, time and again, I see people doing their damnedest to try to sell to people that just became aware of them. Okay, so this is that same piece about, like, if I run the right Facebook ad and I go to a really snazzy website and it's got some really great pictures on it, and maybe I stand in front of somebody else's Ferrari or, you know, whatever the hell that is, they're just pushing too hard, too fast, and it's inappropriate. Okay, there's a next step that we want to go up. So once there's awareness, the next step up is we actually get this thing called a relationship. Now, at the relationship piece, let's be clear about this. That relationship could be a little bit of anything. So that relationship could be, it's like, hey, I'm going to get notified when Jay goes on Facebook Lives. That relationship could be, I'm going to opt in and I'm going to get Jay's Mastermind Mentors Manual and see what the heck he's got. That relationship could be, I'm going to pay a little bit more attention. Instead of just subscribing to the list, I'm going to open an occasional email and read the damn thing. Okay? All of those are just moving from awareness up to the beginning of a relationship. Now, again, even here, in the world of masterminds, it's incredibly difficult to sell. Here's the reason being. When we're talking to mastermind, we're not talking a commodity, we're not talking a course, we are talking about connection and relationship. So we want to take this next piece up from relationship to intimacy. And at intimacy, this is where we are beginning to learn more and more and more about one another so that we can serve and support more and more and more diligently and completely with what somebody's mission and vision and contribution to planet Earth is going to be. Now, here's the thing. When we truly utilize intimacy in a meaningful and powerful manner, then the next step up, and this is the part at which you can now successfully market a mastermind. We go from intimacy to influence. And I want to be very, very clear about this. I am talking about the right use of intimacy. And what I mean by that is that sometimes down here, that can feel a little bit hooky and manipulative and all those sorts of things. What I'm talking about is, if I know that this is what's most important to you in your life, I will do whatever I can to serve and support you in actually manifesting that result. By the way, with or without me. Any of you who have done any work with me, it's like, hey, this is what you're working on. That's not my wheelhouse. Let me introduce you to Jane Powers. Let me introduce you to Michael Neely. Let me introduce you to Jason Gennard. Let me introduce you to Christian Michelson. So, or as I see Charles, let me introduce you to Charles Bird. It has nothing to do with my needs. It has everything to do with utilizing my intimacy and my influence to help you get what you want in your life. Now, if you are attempting to sell your mastermind down here, here's what I can tell you. It's not going to be a ton of fun. You are going to attract people that shouldn't be in that particular group. You are going to work far too hard at it, and it feels like you're fighting a battle pushing uphill. What we're after here is to strategically, based upon my promise, based upon my positioning, based upon the value that I can create, help people become aware of us, develop the beginning of a relationship so that we can actually communicate with one another, find out what's truly most important. By the way, this is what the power of a WCC is so fantastic. And then use our influence to help people get what they want. You do it in that manner, marketing your mastermind, simple, clean, and easy. All right, my friends. I want to introduce you to our early attendee in a moment or two, so I'm just going to move back to the chair here. We're going to get you all set up, and I'm going to tell you about one of the smartest, best, fastest applying human beings on planet Earth. All right, so gang, I want you to just like my shirt's all wrinkly and crinkly. Okay, there. I got to sit up. Now it looks like my head's cut off. I'm going to crunch down. All right, so let me tell you about a dear friend of mine. His name is Charles Bird. He does a variety of things. He is a productivity expert. If any of you have ever used Evernote, he is like the Evernote wizard. I think he might know more tricks than the people who actually created Evernote. In fact, they have him come to their place, and he has a strategic relationship with them. He also is a past attendee of Mastermind to Millions Live, and he utilized a bunch of that information to create a combination mastermind and training called Pure JV, that he was kind enough to have me come speak at a couple of months ago. And, you know, he's just one of those all-round smart dudes, gets shit done, applies things faster than almost anyone I know, and has efficiency out the wazoodle, which I don't have, but I do admire from a distance. So welcome, Charles. How are you?
Yeah, great, man. Thanks for having me.
Well, I really appreciate you making time. And sorry about the time. I think we had a time zone kerfuffle. Are you okay for like 10 minutes or so?
Just fine, yeah.
You're just fine. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Okay, so I only have a couple of questions for you. The biggest one that I have is this, because I really admire how fast you implement. What was it when you came to Mastermind to Millions Live? What was it that served and supported you to start the Mastermind JV business as fast as you did? Because man, you had it done in like, from the outside looking in no time flat. And I truly, truly admired that.
Well, thanks. For one, coming to your Mastermind to Millions event, it was remarkable for several reasons. For one, the quality of the content that you deliver there. I mean, you truly give away the farm. You give away the entire process. And I think for me, it really made it feel approachable and possible. You demystified it. And yeah, it was sitting at your event. I was sitting next to a friend of mine and we were chatting. We were like, let's do this, you know, why not? And so for one, yeah, the quality of the content. Two, the people that you attract are high quality entrepreneurs who are also action takers. They're movers and shakers. So it's a lot easier to start forming ideas when you're surrounded by, of course, people you know, like, and trust who are also getting things done, and they can help guide and position and shape.
Can I actually add to that? Because it's something I didn't say when I was inviting them to Mastermind to Millions Live just a couple of minutes ago, is that we do not have the traditional live event attendees. And I think the reason is that we have a unique topic. So instead of a bunch of people who are just, you know, sort of necessarily at the beginning of their business, well, they are welcome, but we have, like I say, gold medal Olympic winning athletes, and silver and bronze and no medals. We have U.S. We have U.S. senators. We have New York Times bestselling list authors. We have people who built space probes. We like the range of people that shows up never ceases to both awe and inspire me. Like it's a really cool thing that I just I do not take for granted. So I appreciate you bringing it up, because I sort of I didn't say it out loud.
Well, yeah, like just sitting down at dinner, I sat next to Alina Vincent. I didn't know her before I sat down there, and she's amazing, as you know. And when you're batting around ideas with extremely intelligent people who take action on the ideas they hear about, it just reinforces your own confidence that you can run out and do this, which is exactly what we've done. And I got to tell you too, it's so rewarding. It feels so flipping fantastic. And when I finally decided to put on our Pure JV event, we only gave ourselves a 2-month runway, which for live events isn't really much at all. And I got to tell you, the road forms right in front of you by committing to doing it. And instead of it just being an idea, hey, maybe we should do that sometime. When you say we are doing it, here's when we're going to start, the path just forms in front of you. Resources come out of the woodwork to help you get stuff done. Things come together quickly. They can. Totally. So
can I share a strategy of yours that, you know, and I don't know if you ever have this, Charles, or any of you at home, but you know when an idea is so good and it is so, in this case, I'm going to say obvious yet transparent to me, that it's like, damn, I wish I'd have written that. Damn, I wish I'd have thought of that. Damn, that should. So I want to share an idea of yours that you do that I really wish I thought of. In fact, I've been telling people I did think of it. Okay, no,
perfect.
I haven't. But I sang your praises at our last facilitator training on this note. So here's the hint, gang, is that if you have a community, and by the way, the woman I was sharing with, she is creating a Christian mastermind. If there is an event where your target market travels from all over the world to attend, and it already has the traffic, and you want to do a little like one-off mastermind for a day or two before or a day or two after, that's actually a pretty darn smart strategy, and it is one of the things that you have done with some of the larger sort of internet marketing events on planet Earth, yes?
Yeah, absolutely. People have already made a decision to travel. I found actually a lot of people left right after my event, but the concept's brilliant. People have decided to travel. All the big names are there. I mean, you know the caliber of speakers we get, including a guy named Jay Facette.
Well, he's okay. The rest of them were pretty good, but you know, he's...
But it just, it makes it easier because, well, people are there. They know they're going to learn great things and be surrounded not only by the core group, which is fantastic, but then a whole broader network. And it's very energizing. It makes it easy for people to say yes because they're going to go anyway. So why not?
So how'd you come up with the idea? Like, I've just talked to me a little bit about it because it was like in hindsight, it was like, well, and I, you know, part of my I've got little people, right? So hockey and all those sorts of things. So it's always like hockey schedule, lacrosse schedule, soccer schedule, Corey and I schedule, and then it's like, okay, where do we fit events in and those sorts of things. But when you did that, it was like, gosh, that's smart. So how'd you come up with that? Like, where did it come from?
Sure. So I knew I wanted to put on a live event, but I didn't have it nailed down yet. And people kept asking me just left, right, and center, Facebook pings, asked to speak at masterminds, this and that on joint ventures and workflows for how we do the volume that we do. And then when I was at one of Tom Morkus masterminds in Aspen, and someone asked for private consulting, and we were talking that night. And anyway, I was sipping whiskey, and I'm like, if everyone wants this so bad, I'm going to put on a live event. I'm like, fine, I'm going to just do it. That was the line in the sand where the road starts forming in front of you. And then looking at the calendar, it's like, well, when would be a good time to do this? And I thought, hey, if I'm teaching joint ventures, why not teach it before all the players are in the same freaking place, in the same building?
That's so good.
So that was the date driver catalyst. I'm like, I know I'm going to this event anyway. Why not teach people how to leverage an event like that and pay for the entire trip for them? Because the skills they learn, they can go leverage instantly. And, it demystifies joint ventures, relationship building, how the whole thing works.
Without a doubt. And, just on that note, I want to give you a shout out because the systems and the process that you teach for setting up the webinars and the joint ventures and all those sorts of things, because the other part of why I really wanted Charles to come to this is that one of the greatest ways, if we're looking at this from the perspective of awareness, relationship, intimacy, and influence, one of the greatest ways in the universe to increase influence is to borrow it through joint ventures. Because if you are borrowing it through joint ventures, some of you may have even seen an email and a little webinar that I did with Charles. Charles, you've supported me in terms of reciprocating that in terms of our Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp. But it is one of those ways to accelerate the steps of awareness all the way through to influence. And that was just the other thing I wanted to let people know. So is there anything you would want to tell us about how you have created the amount of influence that you have so quickly? Because literally you were working for someone else doing this a couple of years ago, and now you are recognized as one of the world leaders in the number of webinars you do in JVs for webinars.
Yeah, well, it comes down to something you teach every day, and it's relationships. So for one, my model, which won't be everybody's, but my model is doing joint venture webinars one at a time. So that means building relationships with people one at a time, getting on calls, chatting, trading ideas, figuring out, always starting by listening and helping. And as you teach, when you listen and help people, magically there's something they like about that. And then they just feel compelled. They want to work with you. And then at least in my case, as you know, I started from not being known at all in the industry to you take every win you get and roll it into the next, to where the partners we work with now are Brian Tracy, Eben Pagan, Mike Filsame, again, Jay Facette, which you can't get that level of influence without building a lot of quality relationships and providing a ton of value.
Well put. Very, very well put. All right, my friend, we've got to get hustling and moving, given the show, and thank you for making time for this and all of those pieces. If there's somebody sitting at home thinking it's like, well, maybe I'll do a mastermind, but I'm not so sure about getting on a plane or a train or an automobile to get to Mastermind to Millions live, what would you say to somebody who is sitting on the edge about actually getting their butt there?
I am so glad I went, because I was on the fence too. I'm like, I travel a lot, I don't want another event. But for one, the quality of the content, it's just mind-blowing. You hand them a masterpiece that you've developed over decades. So it's the quality of the content you're giving, the generosity of the volume. I mean, people pay thousands of dollars to get that training anywhere else. I mean, well, it doesn't exist in the form you do it, but you know what I mean.
Yep.
So I'd absolutely say to go, and then you're also going to bump into some fantastic people. So it's a beautiful combination of high quality content, amazing delivery of the presentation. Jay, you're always phenomenal on stage. And then the people, that's what it's all about. I've seen people at your event go up. They created and launched a mastermind at the event and filled it. I was like, what the hell is going on here?
And so I just have to say this, Charles, and the crazy thing about this is that that's not terribly uncommon. Like I know that people have sold out a retreat in Mexico. People have positioned a mastermind and sent out an email. My dear friend Shadid, with the positioning script, the filtering script, went out on the break, which was a 30-minute break, and came back with 3 clients. You know, this is, you know, it's just one of those pieces that, and I want to thank you for saying it, because I'm so used to that. And then I hear from people all the time, it's like, well, I went to this other thing and all it was a pitch fest, and this whole thing's actually training and content, and it's like, I didn't expect that, but good God, I love that. So yeah, it's a good reminder, because I take that for granted, but it's not the norm.
No, it's not the norm, and yeah, remarkable stuff, and the relationships you build are phenomenal too, because you're attracting the movers and shakers. You're not attracting a bunch of newbies with day jobs.
Mm-hmm. Makes a difference. So Charles, I want to say thank you. Gang, if you are interested in anything related to efficiency, Evernote, joint ventures, you saw Charles's URL just there, which is purejv.com. He's also not too hard to find on Facebook or any of those other places. But thank you for sharing your time with us, Charles. I truly appreciate you and the time that you took.
I appreciate being here. Thanks a lot, Jay. We'll catch up later.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye. I always have so much fun with him. He came to one of our joint venture summits years ago, and he has this sort of wry and dry sense of humor that, you know, sometimes I think it was only he and I laughing, but we totally enjoyed ourselves. All right, gang. Back to here. Now, that's not, I'm just going to slide on over a little bit. A quieter chair-ish. Okay, gang. So we covered the relationships piece. I'll tell you what we haven't covered yet that we need to dive into. One of the promises that I made to you in terms of coming to this event was I was going to talk about mastermind structures. And I want to just check in with our chat roll to see if we have missed anything in terms of questions or any of those sorts of things. Oh, Anthony. Kevin said Malbec. That I can deliver, my friend. Churches, so Anthony, the comment I was just making about that, I just want everyone to hear and see, because I know not everybody's on the chat, which is churches already believe in community. That's a great point. Thank you. Pricing shouldn't be an issue either. Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University is a class that costs $100 and run through thousands of churches and has been sold to millions of people. People will pay for value. 1,000% that is true. And you know, the honest to goodness truth about it is I believe that there could be an entire revolution of community through churches that masterminds would help. And I would love to support you and serve you in that topic, Anthony, for sure. Okay. I think we have not missed anybody there. That's all good. So gang, just so you know, in terms of how this whole process works, if you put the question in, because at the top of the hour, I'm going to answer questions again, we're going to dive into mastermind topics, or pardon me, mastermind structures. Now, this is a little bit out of order because there's another piece I'm going to teach you in segment 3 called PPSP, which is about lining up the pieces from about a 5,000 foot view to make this easy for you. But in terms of mastermind structures, one of the things that I'm going to go on a brief rant about before I teach it to you is that the honest to goodness truth is much of what is called in the marketplace a mastermind actually isn't a mastermind. It is a large group training. It is a large group coaching program. It is some version thereof. It's not truly, genuinely a mastermind. So when I'm talking about mastermind structures, I need to put a disclaimer in, which is this. Actually, I'll tell you this story. There was a woman who had done my mastermind bootcamp, and she was looking for a mastermind. And she had this particular woman who was a mentor of hers whom she deeply loved and wanted to do work with her. And she knew she had a mastermind. So she reached out to her and said, hey, I'd like to be able to do, join your mastermind. And the woman who led the mastermind said, yeah, that's fantastic. I'd love to do that. And this is what it looks like. She describes it all. And my client is like on the edge of her seat. She's like, oh, that sounds so fantastic. Oh, this is going to be very fantastic. And then she gets to really the end of it and she says, so this is available only to you and 200 of my other closest friends and clients. And the poor woman's jaw dropped because she truly wanted to work with her. But at 200 people, the structure of that process is not a mastermind. It is much more a group training, it's much more a live event, all of those pieces. Now, it may have mastermind components to it, but to call it a mastermind is, shall we say, optimistic. So when we're talking about a mastermind, here's the key distinction that I want you to hold in your head and your heart. And this, by the way, is what makes this so much easier to launch than a bunch of other things that are, sort of, I'm going to say, foisted or marketed in this marketplace these days, is that a mastermind, generally speaking, somewhere between 6 people, maximum of about 12 people as a generalization. The reason being is that the core of the content, the core of the experience is not driven by the coach. There might be a coach or a facilitator, or what we sometimes call a mastermind mentor. But the job of the coach, the facilitator, the mastermind mentor is to draw out the 4 things I said earlier, and I'll say it again, to draw out the network, the resources, the wisdom, and the experience of the group to benefit other individuals and the entire group in terms of what it is that they are working on and creating. And if the content, if there isn't space for that sharing, that contribution, that connection, if there isn't space for that to happen between the members, then my friends, that's truly not a mastermind. Now, the good news and the bad news of this, just to be perfectly clear about this, is that the bad news, let's start with there. The bad news is that if you're a coach who's really attached to your content, is that a mastermind may not be the best model out of the gate. By the way, here's a little hint. Train them, give them a case study or a practicum experience, then move them to a mastermind. And suddenly your 90-day course is now a 1-year program that you can charge probably 4 to 10 times as much for. We teach a lot of details about that at Mastermind to Millions Live. If for no other reason, come for that. But if you are committed to, I want to just get this little group of people together and I just want to teach them, that's just group coaching. And by the way, and when I say just, there's nothing wrong with group coaching. Anything that's going to help you get leverage in your business and break the time for money bind of one-on-one, I'm actually a big fan of, and I would, be your greatest cheerleader. It's just that the world, please hear this, the world has a lot of information. There's nothing you can't find in Google for the most part. The world is quite literally, and I mean this in all seriousness, drowning in information and dying for wisdom. And they are 2 radically different things. And a well-positioned mastermind delivers the wisdom. Okay? So I just want you to be clear about this. When we're talking about structures, I'm not talking about these monumentally big things unless we call them what they are. So on that note, I'm going to go to the easel and I will review a handful of the structures. Where are we at for time? I just want to make sure we're doing okay. So it's going to be a short one. All right. There are 5 basic structures. Do we need to go this way a little bit or? Okay. There are 5 basic structures, and I left my pen here. There we go. And I'm going to go through them quickly, then I'm just going to tell you a little bit about them so that you can wrap your head and heart around them. Okay, so the first of which is an event structure. And an event structure, this is what we would also call, in my world, I would call it a one-off. And this is where we can bring together a group of people. So for example, Charles, he runs this thing called Pure JV. It is an event model. 2 days, 2.5 days prior to a couple of big events in the joint venture world. Ta-da, works out beautifully. Jason Gaynard runs Mastermind Talks. That has 150 people. That's a one-off. And by the way, that's not a full-on mastermind. It has mastermind components to it, but it is still an event. So events, I'm just going to star, are a fantastic place to start if this is new to you. It's a fantastic place to start because it reduces the risk for people when they're saying yes. Now, I am a raving fan of long-term masterminds. I prefer the 12-month minimum model. And just to be clear about this, I'm going to plug a book, which is called Change or Die. Change or Die is probably the best science on planet Earth about what it really takes to create real and lasting change, which is somewhere in the neighborhood of 18 to 24 months of immersion. So, you know, I just want to caution you against the rah-rah. It's like, ooh, I had a new thought, and now the rest of my life will be different. It's not really how it works, and science is pretty freaking clear about it. So the one-off event is a powerful tool to get people engaged and starting. Then there's a process which is sort of monthly. And this, by the way, in my view, this is the monthly, this is the quarterly, this is the combination of the quarterly and the monthly. This is where we get together on a consistent, regular basis. These ones usually have some element of content, and I want to be very clear about this. This is enough content to move the group forward in terms of its stated purpose, but not so much content that it becomes group coaching exclusively. And I should just underline this and make a point here. The mastermind model that we teach is truly a hybrid model. And I'm just going to tell you what the hybrid model is momentarily here. The hybrid model really has 3 key elements to it. Element number 1 is that it has a support group component where we spend enough time where we get to know one another that we care about them. Remember, intimacy to influence. It has a support group component to it. Then it has the mastermind component to it where we create the exercises, the activities, the processes, the engagement, the social binding for people to truly share their network, wisdom, resources, and experiences. And then there's a bit of content that provides a method, a means, and mechanics for social binding and content ideas to move the group forward, sometimes in huge quantum leaps. It's quite beautiful. So that's our hybrid model. I'll teach you a whole bunch more about that at Mastermind to Millions Live when you get there. So we've got event, we've got monthly, then we've got the retreat and travel. And sometimes people say, well, isn't the event and the retreat the same thing? And the answer to that question is no. And here's the reason why. The event could be in any hotel room or any suite anywhere in God's green earth. And for the most part, the attendees really don't care. They're coming for whatever the promise is of the event. But the retreat and the travel one is actually different. So this is, if ever any of you have heard of, just fell out of my brain, Richard Branson and his Necker Island. Okay, so that is a destination event. Okay, so that's a destination mastermind. And frankly, being at his retreat and being able to say, hey, I was hanging out with Richard on Necker Island and we had a shooter together, or whatever the story is as much a driver for somebody saying yes to it as the promise is in other places. So that is distinct there. Now, Facebook and online, and I just got to say this to you, I, for the most part, was not a fan of this particular model and process until I saw somebody do it incredibly well. And Ryan Levesque, he wrote a best-selling, New York Times best-selling list book called Ask. He actually spoke at Mastermind to Millions last year, one of the smartest dudes I know on planet Earth. He ran, which was, I think, one of the best Facebook-based online masterminds I'd ever seen. It was called Next Level Mastermind. And it's difficult to describe in this context, but I'm just going to give you a couple of key pieces to it. You wouldn't think that a Facebook group with 2,000 people paying $97 a month, pause for a moment, do the math, it's not a bad monthly income. You wouldn't think that that would be much of a mastermind group. But the sub-segmentation, the displaying of the wisdom, network, and experience and resources of the members of the group, the way in which they engaged people to share content that would assist people to actually apply the Ask method and broaden and build their business was nothing less than exceptional. Absolutely nothing less than exceptional. So it can be done, and that is the high watermark in that entire arena. And then we have what I'm going to call the bundle or the kitchen sink offer. And by the way, Christian Michelson, who is going to be our next guest, he has a mastermind which is called The Bigs, and The Bigs is, at last count, I think it was a $75,000 mastermind. And one of the reasons why that is, and by the way, when I first heard that, I was like, holy crap, how much? And then he showed me what was in it. Goodness gracious, it is one of the most value-packed, daunting, amazing, astounding, inspiring bundles of content, support, coaching, mastermind, training, like this incredible thing altogether that I have ever seen. Now, these are the broad strokes of it. You must, and here's the big thing I need you to hear, and this I'm foreshadowing other content. The big thing you need to hear is this. There's no right way, there's no wrong way. You must decide on your structure based upon the promise of your mastermind and who you have positioned it for. I'm going to say that again. No right way, no wrong way. You must choose the structure that is going to deliver on the promise in a meaningful manner for the people that you've positioned it for. That is the determining factor. And I just got to say this, far too many times I see people running masterminds who did nothing but pay for a premium mastermind, watch what their mentor did, and then R&D that, which stands for rip off and duplicate, R&D that and do exactly the same damn structure when it has nothing to do with the promise. Damn it, don't do that. It is inappropriate, it is unacceptable, and frankly, if you're going to get into the world of doing masterminds, you need to up the game. You do not just take somebody else's structure. You do the structure that works for your promise. I trust that makes sense. All right, gang. Back over here, and I'm going to make a wicked invitation for you, and I'm going to answer some of the questions and some of the other pieces around this. So, you need to get on a plane, get in a car, get in a train, hitchhike, walk, jog, run, I don't care, but you need to get your ass to Phoenix, June 1st through 3rd to attend Mastermind to Millions Live. And I want to be clear about this, is that I have put together a package. It's worth almost $3,500, which I will give to you for free. By the way, my favorite price tag in the entire universe, free. All you need to do is this. Make the commitment to yourself, heart, mind, and soul, that you are going to serve your tribe, you are going to live your mission, and you are going to make a difference for your tribe through masterminds. And when you do that, let me detail for you exactly what you get through all of those pieces. And it's just going to take me a moment to call it up on my screen, which is kind of funny because it was here. I don't know what I did with it. Ta-da, there it is. There we go. And if you could share, if you could pop my screen up so they can see what that whole offer is. And by the way, gang, just now you're going to see a little button that's going to come up to the right-hand side of the video screen. When you click that button, it is going to take you to this page that's showing up in the background. It just says Mastermind Roadmap, Phoenix, Arizona, June 1st through 3rd. Now you are going to get, if you're one of the first 100, you are going to get not only a ticket to Mastermind to Millions Live, but you're going to get 3 bonuses. And I want you to understand what all of these elements are. So the first and foremost is that Mastermind to Millions Live is a 3-day workshop that is absolutely outstanding and amazing. And it is, in terms of value, one of the most powerful things in the universe. There we go. Technical assistance. Thank you, Alexander. So that's the first thing that you're going to get. Everybody's going to get that. Now, if you're one of the first 100, and I would strongly suggest that you hustle to get this, is that you're also going to get these bonuses. Number 1, you are going to get Mastermind Essentials. And the Mastermind Essentials is an online training program that you get instantly, so that you get to work on getting yourself ready and positioning this mastermind immediately. And the Mastermind Essentials program covers the 6 pillars of masterminds that work. It gives you all of the manuals in terms of the Fill Your Mastermind with Ease manual, the Mastermind Mentors manual. It gets you the Commitment Day manual. It gets you the Rapid Growth Report. It gets you a ton of tools and resources, and that's a $497 program. And you get to work on that right away. Now, here's where it gets fun. Human beings grossly underestimate momentum. And it's like, I'm going to go really, really hard and then I stop. When the truth of the matter is, if we could just maintain a little bit of momentum over a sustained period of time, magic happens. And I seriously mean magic by most people's standards. So here's what we do to assist you with the momentum to get your mastermind positioned, launched, and led in 30 days. 30 days out from Mastermind to Millions Live, you start getting emails, and it's one simple action a day. We're not asking you to reinvent the world. It's not a part-time job. It is one simple action a day, and you are going to do that simple action every single day for 30 days leading up to Mastermind to Millions Live. And then the day before Mastermind to Millions Live, you're going to come and we are going to do a mastermind, a real live mastermind, because sometimes people at this stage of the game, it's like, well, this all sounds good, but what the hell's a mastermind? We're going to show you. We'll have you experience it. You'll actually be in the room with me and my team masterminding about what it is that you want to create and how you are going to get the most out of the weekend. So then you get this mastermind experience. That, by the way, is another $997 value. The 30-day roadmap is $997 value, and that all adds up to $3,488 you get for free. Now here's the one condition, and it is a condition, it's an important condition, is that we spend an inordinate amount of money. Number one, putting on the event at the hotel, all those sorts of things. An event like this, just so we're clear about this, costs me over 6 figures. Okay, so if I'm spending 6 figures, I need you to say you're coming. That's what the $197 is. It is a seat reservation fee. And by the way, all you do is, by the way, if you want to bring a friend to any of those sorts of things, you can pay for more than one person. That's all well and fine. The team will just follow up with you and get their name. But you're going to put a seat reservation deposit down of $197. When you show up for registration, you will get your name tag and you will get your check back, which makes it 100% free. I also want to be really clear about this, is if you don't attend, don't be asking for your $197 back. This is when you attend. This isn't if it's convenient to attend. This isn't if you stub your toe. This isn't if Mercury's in Gatorade. I don't give a shit about that stuff. This is you make the commitment and you follow through, just like Jean-Francois did, just like Charles did, just like I did, just like quite literally thousands of other people have done in the past. I trust you get that that is fair. So we go on the hook for you. We expect you to show up. Now, in all of those pieces, there's another element, which is this. I always love to go VIP, and I think going VIP is the best way to go. And the reason being is you get way more access. You get way more access to support. You get your food taken care of. We get the VIP event the night before. You get a couple of little wine tickets when we're doing our evening training sessions, because we like to have a little bit of fun at those sorts of things. So it's really phenomenal. And here's the thing. On this live stream only, if you choose to do what we call the one-click upsell to VIP, it's only $297. Even the early bird is currently at $397, and that will go up to $1497 as the event gets closer. So for goodness sakes, this is damn near free. Now, when you do VIP, just to be clear, you don't get anything back. It costs us more than what you're paying to actually feed you, give you the vino, do all of the pieces, your little goodie bag, all those elements. So I trust that makes some sense to you. Now, every once in a while people say, so what's this Mastermind Essentials thing and how does that work? I just want to show you really briefly, this is the training of the 6 pillars of Masterminds that work, so you can get through all of those elements and be prepared to hit the ground running when you get to Mastermind to Millions Live. So it is instant access, you jump in it right away, you do that work, you're going to go through those pieces before the 30 days starts, depending upon when you click the button and all of those elements, but it works together perfectly and beautifully. So that is how that goes, and all you need to do is click the button on the side of the window and we will get everything else taken care of for you, because you can't beat free. Now, on that note, I want to make sure that I answer any questions that you may have about this. Kevin, you make me laugh. To call it a mastermind is, shall we say, optimistic. Way to control your tongue, Jay. Impressive. Kevin's worked with me long enough to know that I'm not particularly good at controlling my tongue. There's not much filtering between brain and mouth. The good news about that is you always get the straight goods from me. Okay, perfect. So I want to talk about some of the reasons why people don't. And there's so much to say here, but I just want to slow down for a moment, and I want you to check in, because if you are watching this, here's what I know. You have a mission. You have a tribe of people that you are here to serve. You see yourself as a leader of that tribe, and yet you're waffling and struggling in some way, shape, or form. And here's what I want you to consider, is that this process will transform your life, your business, and your free time in ways that you cannot even imagine. And I want to just, give you a couple of examples of that in a moment or two, but what I want you to get is this, is that positioning a mastermind, here's a mid-range mastermind, a dear friend of mine, Rayanne. She runs 3 groups of 8 people each, $225 a month, so we're talking like low mid-end. Works 3 nights a month. All 3 groups come together for the 4th night, so she works 1 night a week. And that's $65,000 a year, working 1 night a week. For how many of you would you work 1 night a week for $65K? I'm venturing to bet, given the ICF, the International Coaching Federation, what they said the average income was is that 90% of coaches make less than $20,000 a year. And that's a crime, and that's ridiculous. So if you have a mission, if you are called to serve, here's the honest goodness truth. You got to figure out what you've got to juggle. And I mean this in all seriousness. I mean, call in the troops. Phone the mother-in-law that you don't like to talk to get them to take care of the kids. Cash in an RSP or a 401k to get a plane ticket. Go get 3 new clients so that you can get this done. Because here's what I want you to understand. If you're sitting there doing the standard routine, it's like, well, I don't have quite enough money, I don't have quite enough time, it's slightly inconvenient. Well, for Christ's sake, welcome to entrepreneurship. This is not a job, it is not 9 to 5, it is not when it's convenient. If you say you have a mission to serve people, then find a way to find the tools, the resources, and the support to truly serve. Because otherwise, it sounds like a BS story to me. And I might be a little bit blunt and abrupt here, but I cannot tell you how many times I get into conversations with people who are like, I'm running a mastermind. And it's like, great. What are you going to do in terms of the tools and the support and all sorts of things? It's like, well, I read Think and Grow Rich. And I feel like saying, well, enjoy thinking and going broke with your mastermind, because that ain't enough, my friends. It will not work. You need contracts, you need applications, you need structure, you need process, you need positioning, you need filtering, you need some guidance in terms of the invitation. Like, there's so many pieces, and I just truly, genuinely want to serve you. And for crying out loud, you've got to get that this is not about me, that it is about serving you if I'm doing it for free. Now, on that note, by the way, this was alluded to with Charles, and I just want to say it out loud because often it comes up in the chat, but it hasn't at this moment, which is this. It's like, well, if you're doing this for free, that event there, that must be one of those pitch fests. There's going to be a bunch of people there selling me shit. And I want to just be very clear and abrupt with you and specific, is that this event has more content than probably 4 or 5 weekends that you would go to in terms of traditional training. Will there be invitations? Absolutely, yes, there will. And I will articulate those invitations so you even know what the hell they are heading into it. Is that Christian Michelson will make an invitation to support you in doing free sessions that sell and converting people. Jane Powers is going to help you actually learn how to speak from stage so you can do the invitation stuff that I was talking to Kevin about. If you're interested in longer term support for building your mastermind, I'll make an invitation to our program that Jean-Francois is in called LEAD. That's it. This is no pitch fest. And by the way, they are done cleanly, clearly, and everything, which, what is that, the grand total of 3, over 3 days, every single thing, number 1, is designed to assist you to succeed at your mastermind. And I grind my speakers to give you the best deal that they can't get anywhere else on planet Earth. Frankly, if you want to get any of those sorts of things, just get in the plane, because the savings I negotiate on your behalf will pay for the plane ticket. Seriously. So I want you to understand that this is a training program, nothing else. So on that note, gang, what I want you to do is this, I want you to just trust yourself. I want you to check in and answer this question. Am I going to lead a mastermind in 2018? Hell, am I going to lead a mastermind in 2019 in terms of getting those 2 things done? If a mastermind is on your horizon, there's only one thing you must do, which is click that button, put in your credit card. By the way, I strongly recommend bringing a friend with you. So bring your spouse, bring your husband, bring your brother, bring somebody you work with, bring somebody in your organization, bring your assistant so they know what's going to happen when you roll out the mastermind. Bring somebody with you. It's significant. Click the button and get yourself registered. And for crying out loud, for an extra $100, go VIP. Makes perfect sense. So I want you to, we showed you one video from, I think it was last year's Mastermind 2 Millions Live. We're going to show you another video so you get a broader and a deeper sense of what actually happens at this event and how exceptional it is. So you can watch this video. You can click the button at the same time, get yourself registered. Do it now. The video is going to roll right.
Online or virtual training has its place in the whole mix, but doesn't ever take the place of live interaction.
Being able to sit there and structure and write down what I want my mastermind to look like.
What makes this event really unique is not only does Jay
teach how to put on masterminds, but you get to experience what's it like in a mastermind setting.
It's been a combination of lecture, interactive activities, as well as enough breaks for us to network with other people in the community, as well as tabletop exercises where we can talk to our neighbor and change to another table. They've done a really excellent job of producing an event.
So Jay and Joshua is like the absolute dream team. They complement each other so well.
If I'm opening a new business line or a new area in the business, I'll always go and find the world expert in that particular area. I looked around and I found Jay was the world expert in masterminds, so there's no better way than to learn from the best.
What I think distinguishes Jay is his attention to detail and the amount that he cares. When you ask something, he will address it, and he will address it until it is done and until you are satisfied with the answer.
How often he would pause, he would stop, he would help somebody, he would take a question from the audience, answer that person's question, and then broaden the lesson so it applied to me.
He opened up the chest and said, this is how I do this. These are my secrets. Go do this yourself. Just so generously, you just don't see that. People saying, here, I want you to be successful, so committed to our success at a high level that he gave us all his tools.
He is just so natural. He is just so good on stage.
This is who he is. This is who you see on and off the stage, and he really genuinely cares about me.
And Joshua, on the other hand, he's also an amazing, incredible speaker as well, and his knowledge of the internet and how to leverage business systems and how to create different scalable models so you can have the lifestyle that you want.
They actually gave you what they promised to give you, which that's not been my experience at seminars before at all.
The energy in the room was amazing. It's evident that they're surrounded by people who are absolutely loving, committed.
The people that are here are kind of coming together to all support and nurture one another in their dreams and visions and even their bank accounts. So it's fantastic.
Jay framed it that we were here to find resources and to be resources to each other every break. It was constant conversations with other people.
People here care, they're mission-driven, they're heart-centered, they want to make a difference, and they're also really business-focused as well.
The bottom line of all of it is love and standing for the best in people.
I had originally thought that it was going to be a really big deal to do a mastermind. I thought that it would take me a lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of preparation. And the coolest takeaway I have is that I can do a beta mastermind with only 10 people and do that from a place of expertise.
Learning that mastermind could be super fun, like fun enough to go out and just have wine and have a party, make it fun.
I now have the blueprint, not just like a free opt-in, here's 6 steps you can do. I have the full manual of how to create a successful mastermind.
All right, gang. So you get a sense of what transpires there. One of the things in terms, I was just watching a couple of the testimonials and what people were saying about it, is that one of the things I need you to know is that, you know, infomercials and those sorts of things, and there's always like the fine print is like, you know, your results may vary, all the rest of it. Those are kind of just the plain old standard responses. Those are not, you know, filtered for the very best in the universe. Those are just kind of the standard responses. So here's what I know. Your tribe is waiting. The question is, are you ready to step up? Do you feel confident enough? Are you clear enough about your value? Are you clear enough about your mission? Are you clear enough about your promise to successfully launch that mastermind? And that's what I want you to really do. So we're going to take a moment or two again to answer questions, as we always do at the top of the hour here. So if you have a question that has not been answered yet, I would love for you to type it into the little chat window there, and I will answer it as best I can. We, of course, have a whole whack of other questions, but I always like to give priority to the people who are here, the people we're having a conversation with, the people who are attending. You get the priority. So here's a good one. This came from a gentleman in our Mastermind to Millions community on Facebook. And I'm trying to put this kindly, but I'm not really sure that I'll succeed. The question was this, is like, my tribe can't afford a mastermind, so maybe this business model doesn't work. And that's just batshit crazy. There's just not another way to say that. And I want you to understand that we have successfully and very profitably done masterminds at $97 a month, at $500 a month, at $5,000 a year, at $10,000 a year, and I take on a couple of premium clients at $100,000 a year. So I don't believe for an instant that we couldn't position a mastermind that actually made some money that was paid regardless of somebody's circumstances. So what I want you to understand is this, is that I believe that the person is like, oh, the business model of masterminds won't work. That was an erroneous assessment based on lack of knowledge of his own business model. When you line up the business model and you understand how you are going to serve your tribe, at what level they are going to participate, what leads from a $97 mastermind, in our case, that went into a weekend personal transformation program. From that weekend personal transformation program, people usually committed to an ongoing evolution process of their own, and that made it exceptionally profitable. In addition to that, what it also provided was the support for people to live into the transformations in the personal development realm that they had touched on, they had noticed in terms of what they wanted to create. So honest to goodness, it could be $37 a month. By the way, I have seen that. I've not done that one personally. It could be $37 a month to anything. You've got to be clear on, please hear this, what's the promise? What is that worth? What is the environment you're operating in? What is the structure? And then you're going to figure out what the pricing is that delivers. So I hope that makes some sense, gang. And by the way, for any of you who have other questions, you can just type them in the window. I will do my absolute best to answer them while we are here and live. Okay, here's another common question that I get asked a bunch of times. And the very fact that we are online having this conversation right now tells me a couple of things about this. I just need to adjust my chair here a little bit. There we go. And the question is this, is that I live in a remote geographic area, and my computer was just going a little bit crazy, so I don't know if we lost our feed there from my computer or not, but we're back. Okay, so here's the thing. I live in a remote geographic area. I'm not sure that I can do a mastermind. My friends, we are in what I believe is the golden age of masterminds. The very fact that we are doing this amazing live stream all over the world from my living room with a couple of computers and cameras is astounding. The truth is you can reach your tribe anywhere on planet Earth with free software like Zoom, with GoToWebinar, all those sorts of things. How do I put this? Right now, what I'm going to call the micro-segmentation of tribe, of community, of mission, of purpose, and what we can do with the internet and the capacity to quite literally sit in presence, even if we aren't in the same room, sit in presence of another 8, 9, 10, 12 people and actually serve and support one another is absolutely, utterly and completely magical. And by the way, I lead masterminds where we have members from Australia, Norway, France, Germany, all over the US, all over Canada, in Alaska. We run all of those things together at the same time. So this whole idea of, you know, they're not in my backyard, therefore I can't do it, is an absolute falsehood. And I need you to hear this. The very amount of time that you've been here having this conversation with me, that you've been typing questions, that you've been doing all those sorts of things, quite literally, hundreds, thousands, perhaps even tens of thousands of people have been online searching for what you deliver. They've been talking to their friends, yearning for community. They've been wishing that something would happen where they would feel connected again. And that, my friends, you can deliver, please hear this, virtually online with unbelievable success. Now, I want to be the first, I'll be perfectly clear with you. I come from a background of 30 years being in a classroom, face to face, heart to heart, belly to belly with other human beings, and that, my friends, is my preference. And when we started scaling this mastermind piece and people were asking from all over the world to participate, it's like I was trepidatious. It was like, man, I don't know. I just don't know if it's going to have the same effect. I don't know if it's going to be the same. And I was uncertain. And when we started doing the virtual masterminds, I was boggled. I was thrilled. I was like doing backflips. I remember saying to Corey, it's like, you wouldn't believe how fantastic it is. So I give you my word. If from my very slanted and opinionated perspective, if I became a raving fan of it, it's all good in every way, shape, or form. All right, gang, this is your last chance in terms of live questions. Type it in. I will do my very best. Otherwise, I'm going to go back with, I will go back to the other questions that were sent to me ahead, which is this. Is there a home study course for this? So, yeah. And honest to goodness, gang, there's two things about the home study course. First and foremost, just take us up on the offer of the Mastermind Roadmap. You get Mastermind Essentials, you get all of the manuals, you get 30 days of support, and you get the ticket. Good Lord, that's phenomenal. Now, if you absolutely cannot make that particular thing, I would still, this might sound a little nuts, I would still pay the $197 to get all of those resources, because there's nothing in the universe that can come close to that. Now, if you need a step up from that, we also have something which we call the Launch Your Mastermind Bootcamp. And I think that, I know, that's what Kevin Smith was saying, is that he had just finished that and that was an absolutely amazing course and we over-delivered. And the Mastermind Bootcamp is a much more in-depth 90-day program that absolutely serves and supports you. So if you know, for whatever reason, it was impossible, although, you know, that's a rarity in terms of being able to make that event. I mean, the only thing that truly is impossible is my commitment to my kids' birthdays. Other than that, I can make anything work. But if it was impossible, you could absolutely get access to the boot camp, and all you have to do is there's that phone number. They could call that phone number, or you could just reach out to Rob in the chat, and he'd be able to hook you up and take good care of you in that manner as well. Okay. How are we time-wise? All right, we're going to have to hustle. All right, I promised you that we would tackle the rest of the Mastermind adventure and the sequencing of getting your Mastermind up and running. So, Alexander, if we could pop up that button that has the download for the Mastermind adventure again. And gang, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the back 5. If you did not download that PDF, the button is going to come up just to my right, left, somewhere like that. And you can just click the button and they will get that PDF for you. In the meantime, I'm going to move back to the easel. I'm going to review those 5, we're going to review those last 5 pieces, and I'll teach you a couple of the key distinctions about making this happen. And before I do it, I just want to say to you, do not underestimate the significance of the sequence. Okay, the sequence is part of the magic. Do it out of sequence, and you're making your life a little bit harder than it has to be. All right. Now, actually, I'd already flipped this over, but let me do a quick recap, because I also know that some of you have to come in and out and all the rest of it. So this is the 10 steps in the proper sequence to get your Mastermind up and running, and we call it the Mastermind. Oh, that's not it. We call those Mastermind structures, but that's not the one that I'm after. I'm after this one here. So there are the 10 steps, and in those 10 steps, you can download the PDF and have it and take it away, but I want to just recap really quickly. The first 5, in terms of, in this order to make this work, is you must figure out the promise. What will be different in your tribe's life after they go through the Mastermind, and who cares about that promise? Who are you positioning it for? Then you've got to be recognized as the leader of that particular tribe, and this is, by the way, these 2 things are the reasons that Masterminds fail to launch. You've got to address them. Then you've got to get clear about where it fits in the business model. I was just talking about this in terms of the question that the one gentleman sent in. And then we have the WCC funnel. Now, we called it the Wine Conversations and Cash. Jean-Francois, he was talking about the WCC he did at the castle. Now, just so this makes sense to you, is long before they booked the castle, long before they chose to, you know, the menu, they were establishing relationships. They were reaching out to people that they believed would be interested in the promise of their Mastermind. And they strategically chose the people who were going to attend. This is building that funnel. So funnel might not even be the right word exactly, is how my brain thinks of it, is that who are the people that are going to be up at the top of this. But you could just think about this as the WCC community. You could think of this as the WCC people who are interested in the promise. But we reach out to those people. We start establishing relationship, connection, that whole piece of awareness, relationship, intimacy, influence. And that's what the purpose of the WCC is. Then we craft a very personal invitation just for the people who we are after. Now, Alexander, I just want to let you know that something is going on with Zoom over on this computer here, because we're going to need that relatively shortly. So these first 5 we've already talked about. Let's talk about the last 5. Now, this might seem a little out of order to you, my friends, but I want you to be clear about this. Before you do your first WCC, I want you to master the filtering and follow-up process. Now, what this means, and there's a lot of detail to this, but I just want you to hang out with me for a moment here. What this means is that I don't want you to go and do a WCC and have this amazing experience, and people go, oh, that's fantastic, and all the rest of it, and you're at the end, it was like, ooh, what do I do now? How do I filter? You want to prepare ahead of time. So you know, number one, who you're looking for in your WCC. You know the kind of person in terms of how they're going to show up. You already have your application forms selected. You have already figured out what you're going to do in terms of your time frame for the applications. You already have in your head when you want to launch the mastermind in terms of if you have a date set up and all of those pieces. So you're going to master that entire process. This will not be a surprise. And by the way, here's sort of how it goes, just so I can plant a seed in your head and heart. You do the WCC. You're looking for the people that are a perfect match. At some stage of the game in the evening, you probably had the opportunity to say, it's like, hey, you might be absolutely ideal for this mastermind. If you're interested, I'd like to talk with you about it. The person goes, yeah, that'd be great. So then that very next day, you text them. It's like, hey, do you want to get together to talk about that mastermind? You go and you do a little filtering, coffee, lunch, tea, whatever the case may be. At the end of it, you say, I think you'd be fantastic, but there's still one more step. Could you please fill out this application? And then you hand that application over, and it's in a beautiful like silver envelope with a red bow or some version thereof, but it stands out, and you get agreement for when it's going to come back. That's what I'm talking about. Now, here's the other piece. Practice facilitation. To run a WCC well, you've got to begin to understand the dynamics of human beings and how human beings behave together. And this is one of the pieces. Bring together a group of friends, bring together a team, set this thing up so that you get a sense and a feel for people answering the questions. You get a sense and a feel for how long it takes. You get a sense and a feel for how you're going to move them along if in fact they get stuck. And you get a sense and a feel about how all of these things work. You do not want to be going, ooh, I wish I'd have thought about how to get them to move along. You don't want to have that happen when you're in the middle of your WCC. You've got real, live, meaningful relationships at play. Don't practice this there. Practice it ahead of time. It's one of the reasons why, and by the way, this is another great reason to come to Mastermind to Millions Live, is that you will actually practice running WCCs at your table, which means that you get real live facilitator skills with real live human beings that makes you incredibly strong when it comes to delivering this on your own. And you get me and my team there to say, oh, just tweak this piece here. Just step a little bit back in this area. Don't push it too hard. You want to actually create the space for them to step up. So you get all those little nuanced pieces that, honest to God, you just can't get anywhere else. Then, host the events. Now, keeping in mind, we're doing our very best to go from awareness, relationship, intimacy, influence. Here's what I say. 5. If you will do 5 WCs, somewhere between 8 and 12 people in it, you will be running a mastermind. Seriously. 5, and you will be running a mastermind. This is not rocket science. I've had people do it, by the way, with one. A dear friend of mine, John Ramstead, one WCC filled one, what we call beta program, which is where you get to test things. It's one of the things we teach as well at Mastermind to Millions Live. And every single person in his beta stepped up to his full-on program at full freight. It added almost $300,000 to his bottom line in the first year. By the way, this was also Anthony that we were talking about online. He was also in the Christian space. He runs a podcast called The Eternal Leadership. So if you commit to doing 5 WCCs, 8 to 12 people, you're done. Now I need you to get this, because this is where in this sort of coaching, training, intellectual property, consulting world, there are so many choices and so many options. But the honest God truth is this. Many of them, it's like, oh, you just have to buy ClickFunnels and Infusionsoft and take a 7-year program and then learn programming and then learn copywriting to write a good email. And then you've got, Jesus, Murphy, is it any wonder most coaches are starving? They're lost in their computer trying to figure out a goddamn link to click. Here, if you have the capacity to actually connect with another human being and you could run these things, you have a real business that will outperform almost any other coach's practice. And it is called, crazy as it sounds, building a relationship. That's all it takes. You could, and I mean this in all seriousness, if you could get between 38 people to 50, 60 people over a span of 5 WCCs, you're done. You don't need a list of 10,000 people. You don't need to master Infusionsoft. You don't need to buy ClickFunnels. You need to have meaningful relationships with 30 to 60 people. If you think you could have meaningful relationships with 30 to 60 people, you best get your ass to Mastermind to Millions Live, because I'm going to change your life and your business. Like that. Simple, clean, easy. Now, you go through the WCCs. I already alluded to this. You select the people that you believe are a great fit. You ask them for agreement in the fall to talk about the mastermind. You go and you do a little more vetting and filtering. And then, if it is appropriate, you send them the application. When the application comes back, you review the application. I teach you all of the key things, by the way, that you have to have in your application, all the key things that you need to do in the phone call that after you've reviewed the application. And only then do you then go to the contract. And by the way, we will supply you in terms of all of those pieces. We will supply you with contracts, we'll supply with applications, we'll supply you with all those things so you know how to do this for yourself. And that, my friends, if you follow those 10 steps, you will have a mastermind. And I just need to say this. Those 10 steps in that order, not in another order. Please do not jump to the WCCs without figuring the other stuff out, because that inevitably ends up biting you in the ass. Just do it that way. Now, sometimes people look at this and like, well, okay, that seems too simple. If it was that simple, everybody would be doing it. I didn't say it was simple. You have to have relationships. You have to be able to connect. You can't be somebody who wants to hide under their couch. You've got to be able to actually build this crazy thing called relationships. So don't confuse simple and easy and all those sorts of things. But if you go through this process, you will have a mastermind, just like the thousands of other people that I've supported in this process. I give you my word. All right, gang. So on that note, what I want you to do is I want you to think about this differently. And sometimes what occurs when we're thinking about things differently is that we need a perspective shift. And what I want to do is this, is I want to play one of my favorite videos. Now, anybody who knows me knows that I am a bit of an Apple fanboy. But what's interesting, that's odd. So you may have to just wait a moment here because something went crazy when my flashing happened there. Actually, I guess we're not going to be able to do that. By the way, gang, just bear with me a moment or two. So this used to have a bunch of tabs, and it used to have a bunch of other things on it that I could get to, but they are gone. There we go. That helped substantially. Okay. So what I want you to do is this, and this is, I'm an Apple fanboy, straight as I can say it, and that started, goodness gracious, way back in 1991, 1992, when there was no way to share a database between a multitude of computers other than something called Ethernet and Token Ring, which cost more than the actual computers. So I went and got Macs, and you could daisy chain a Mac together with a phone line and have a local area network, hell, even a remote area network. We could dial in and actually use the same database. And from that moment on, I've been an Apple fanboy. But one of the things is I love the hardware, I love all of those pieces, but their marketing and how they speak to perspective and perspective shifting, I think is one of the best things in the universe. And I'm going to play you a video, I want you to watch it, and I want you to think about for a moment or two, what would it mean to shift your perspective to be able to do these 10 steps and add 6 figures to your bottom line? What would it mean to shift your perspective about your ability to engage in a community, in an event, in a process that takes you from one to one to many? What shift has to happen within your own heart, mind, and soul for you to be the leader that your tribe wants to follow? So I want you just to consider those things and watch this video, please. Are we ready to roll? Okay. Man, I love that because it just demonstrates so clearly that how we see things is rarely how they really are. And what I want to share with you is this for a brief moment, in terms of expanding that context, is that how we think things are going, I just want to make sure that that's not feeding any sound, how we think things are going and how we think things are inevitably isn't. So what that means is, if you're struggling and feeling stuck, that doesn't mean that you're struggling and that you're stuck. That doesn't mean that there aren't options. That doesn't mean that there aren't choices. That doesn't mean that we can't create a change this freaking fast. And I tell you, I'm not making that up out of theory. I have been an entrepreneur, frankly, my whole life. However, I have been an entrepreneur serving other people in terms of coaching, consulting, intellectual property, all those sorts of things for over 30 years. And I can tell you in that time frame, I have had epic ups and downs, but it is never terminal. It is only terminal if we let ourselves get stuck. Because there's a couple of things that work every single time. And it is this. Top of the list is the correct support. The correct support. Because here's the honest God truth, and I mean this in all seriousness. Businesses never run out of money. And by the way, this comes from a man who has had his business be short of cash more than once. But let's be clear about this. Businesses don't run out of money. They run out of ideas. And business owners run out of courage to implement those ideas. That's what really happens. So the most important thing for you, if you want a contextual shift, and what a contextual shift is you becoming bigger as a human being, you becoming a bigger container to serve and support your clients, you transforming a current challenge into something meaningful, significant, and amazing. And here's the key piece. Well, there's a whole bunch of key pieces to this. If you have clients right now that aren't committing to you, it's because somewhere in your life and somewhere in your world, you're not committed to self. If you have clients right now that are dropping off and they're saying it's because of, you insert the blanks, it's probably because you are buying some of your own excuses. And I want to be clear with this. I don't know where else on planet Earth, and I mean this in all seriousness, I don't know where else on planet Earth that you can begin to get the caliber, the quality, and the term and the experience of support that we are offering for you for free. I don't know where else that exists on planet Earth for free. Like it's absolutely, in my humble opinion, unattainable anywhere else on planet Earth for this topic. It does not exist. So if you're struggling with this, if you're sitting on the fence with this, I would just directly ask you to do this. Is to just settle in for a brief moment and ask that highest part of yourself. Not the chit-chattery, fear-based BS brain. I'm talking about the highest part of yourself. That part of yourself that has the mission. That part of yourself that wants to serve your tribe. That part of yourself that sees the unique contribution that you make to planet Earth and recognizes that for that to become a reality, you've got to engage support. You've got to open up your heart, mind, and soul. You've got to stop being so damn independent. You've got to engage at a different level. And honest to goodness, my friends, I have built multiple seven-figure businesses, both inside the mastermind world and outside the mastermind world. I can absolutely support you to get this thing done. No ifs, no ands, no buts, no exceptions. You do your part, we will knock out of the park our part. I give you my word. So if you're just sitting on the edge wondering, like, should I, shouldn't I? The answer is simple and clear. Yes, you should. And do whatever is necessary to change your plans, to handle the inconvenience, and to get there. And you will, like quite literally, thousands of other people say, that was the best thing I ever did for my business. And I mean that in all seriousness. All right, gang. Get out of your own way. Book the plane ticket, get on the bus, do whatever. And by the way, we're doing this at a beautiful, beautiful facility in Phoenix. And I believe the room rate is only $109. So in terms of, the actual cost of getting there and all sorts of things, I understand that those are some of the key pieces. But, don't get too worried about that. Like, goodness gracious, we can handle that without any trouble whatsoever. All right. Now, my friends, I am incredibly excited because one of our guest speakers at Mastermind to Millions Live is actually our next interviewee. Frankly, he is one of the smartest people that I know. He's got one of the biggest hearts that I know. He supported me in a mastermind that was called Christian Michelson's JV Summit that absolutely transformed how I saw myself in what I'm going to call the online business and shifting from just our personal development stuff into a broader supporting entrepreneurs, supporting people with masterminds and all those pieces. Christian played a key pivotal role. Now, he has a multitude of gifts. But what I'm going to ask him to focus on particularly, and by the way, part of his job here is to expand your context of what's possible for a mastermind, but it's also to let you know a little bit about what he's going to teach and what he's going to share with us at Mastermind to Millions Live. So I'm going to go over to our little interview table and welcome my dear friend. Hey, how are you, brother?
Great. How are you?
I am very, very well. Thank you for making time to see us today.
My pleasure.
I see you're over at the mansion.
The Miracle Mansion.
Yes, exactly.
Here we are.
I so love that place. I've had the privilege of sharing a bunch of parties with a bunch of brilliant people in that space, riding hoverboards and doing all kinds of other crazy things.
Playing ping pong.
Yes. You always kick my butt at ping pong. And every time I leave there, it's like, I'm going to practice before I go back. And then the next time I play ping pong, is that your house?
Yeah.
Anyhow, so a couple of quick questions. So number one, I'm incredibly excited that you are speaking at Mastermind to Millions Live. When I've been telling people about the conversion process for their masterminds, your process of free sessions that sell is completely outstanding, and it's a spot where people run into some trouble. So I only have a couple of quick questions for you, my friend.
Okay.
And I'm going to back up the bus here a little bit. So we have a whole ton of people on the line who are either running masterminds and want to up-level their masterminds, or are struggling with this idea of, should I actually run a mastermind? Should I get on a plane and come to this whole process? And I was saying that you run one of the highest premium priced masterminds that I'm aware of that is so chock full of value that I almost fell over. So why don't you just tell us a little bit, because I saw your cup, the bigs. why don't you tell us a little?
Right yeah.
Exactly. So why don't you tell our audience a little bit about the mastermind that you run, because it is pretty freaking stunning and can serve to support people in expanding what's possible.
Yeah. Well, for the record, I've been coaching for over 18 years now. I struggled to get clients in the early days and eventually cracked the code and figured it out. And then I was able to help 4 out of the first 5 coaches to hire me. I was able to help 4 out of 5 of them grow their business from 0 to 100,000 within 18 months. One of them did it in 72 days. And that about 12 years ago or so, I started focusing exclusively on helping coaches get clients so they didn't have to struggle like I did in the early days, where I almost lost my house, my car, and almost quit many, many times. But so since then, I've been just growing my business. We made the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing companies for the last 3 years in a row. And when they announce this year's winners, it'll be 4 years in a row. And so I've definitely learned a lot. And one of the keys to my success was actually creating this mastermind that we're talking about right here, the Big Success VIP Mastermind. And it is one of the greatest joys of my life. I just did we do a monthly group coaching call. I just happened to do that call this morning. And, hearing about people getting clients, making money, tons of people are getting clients. One person got their very first paying client ever, $4,500 for their first client.
That's huge.
6 months, full pay. And then 2 other people got $25,000 clients. And lots of people getting clients. So I love tuning in. I love the community, and I love, it's a great connection. I'm going to show you guys. I'm going to show you real quick here some other cool stuff about what we've got going on. I was looking for one of these pictures I took down. I was going to put back up, but this was us just a couple weeks ago. This is our group. So there's so much love there. There's so much support. Somebody on the call today was struggling with all kinds of stuff and crying and just having a rough time in her life right now. She's going through, I guess she had a breakup recently, and then she can't get herself to get out of bed to do any work, and then she's blaming herself and judging herself. And the whole community was just so loving to her, and they all said they love her. I said, who here would be willing to get on the phone and buddy coach and help her out? And every single person raised their hand. Like, it is amazing. Having a mastermind is one of the best things I've ever done for my business, and one of the best things I've ever done to support people.
So Christian, I want to just jump on something that I think some people on this call are struggling with right this very second is that they can't quite wrap their head around, if I'm not the coach, then what the hell happens? But they underestimate the power of community. That whole piece of having a room full of people saying, I would be thrilled to reach out to her. Even if it doesn't happen, that experience and the love and the stand and the energy of that transforms people. And it's more than any individual coach can do.
Yeah, it is. I think that coaching is the most powerful force for change on earth. But really, it's coaching plus mastermind is the most powerful force for change on earth. And really just mastermind by itself. I'm actually in 3 masterminds right now. That's how valuable I think masterminds are.
Yep.
So I'm in 3. I also have my team. I have 5 people from my team that I'm paying to put them in a mastermind because that's how valuable I think it is. Coaching is hugely, hugely powerful, and so is masterminding. There's power in environment. There's 5 things that we can do as coaches to help people make change. We can help people clarify their vision and direction. We can help them strategize their actions. We can help them upgrade their skills. We can help them optimize their environment, and we can help them master their psychology. Environment is like one of the most underrated but most powerful forces on earth, because we become like the people we hang out with. And if you hang out with people who are naysayers and people who are, just kind of that regular working class job mentality, it's hard to break out of that. I remember before I quit my job to start my own business, so many people were like, oh my God, like, don't do that. Like, you need your paycheck, and how are you going to make your house payment? And what are you going to do about insurance? And everybody's like, fears was like, that was scaring me. I had enough of my own fears. I don't need everybody else's fears getting projected on me. Right? And it was like so hard. But as soon as I quit, all of a sudden I felt this level of freedom of not being around naysayers. And eventually I started building up community around me of yaysayers. Yeah. Right? You want to be around yaysayers, people who say yes, to life, say, yes, you can do it. Yes, I believe in you.
I love that. So on that note, because you have crafted a beautiful business and a pretty amazing community that I'm privileged to be a part of. And by the way, I really missed you guys. We just had family stuff, and I came off of a 6-day training program, and it was like, anyway. But then, of course, I had a day and a half of sleep, and then I was like, damn it, I wish I was in San Diego. Anyway, so I missed you guys there. But the thing that I want to ask about is, lots of people, so we teach a process where we build these intimate relationships, begin to vet and filter people that we think would be good to work with. And you're going to be speaking about what I'm going to call a conversation/conversion process called Free Sessions That Sell. And it is such a perfect marriage between what we teach. Can you give a couple of highlights of what you're going to share with people at Mastermind to Millions Live that will help get them past the fence if they're thinking, oh man, I'm not sure I should go? Because I really have been selling your brilliance on that piece.
Yeah, well, I want to say a couple things. Number one, live events are an environment. So if you think environments are powerful, get into live events. Here's what I tell everybody. Go to the places where you are going to learn the most, where you're going to grow the most, and where you're going to expand personally the most, right? Like heal the most. So, if you can get yourself in a place like that, and live events are one of the best places, and I would definitely go to Jay's live event. In fact, I'm going to go to Jay's live event myself. So I would recommend everybody come out there and learn about masterminds. Masterminds are so powerful and so valuable. What I'll be teaching the 3-step process for getting clients, whether it's one-on-one clients, mastermind clients, or group coaching clients. But I'll share the 3-step process for getting clients, which maybe if I get a second here, I can even share the 3-step process with you right now, and then we'll go deeper during this.
I would love session. That, by the way, if we could.
Yeah. Also, I'll be teaching you how to get a rush of people that want to have. I'll tell you this. Here's the 3-step process for getting clients. Step one, people hear about you. All right, so at the event, we'll talk about ways, and I'm sure Jay's already going to be talking about lots of ways where people can hear about you. How you can get your name out there, how you can get seen, how you can get exposure, how you can grow an email list. So that's step one. Step one is people hear about you. Step two is they have an introductory coaching session with you or a conversation with you. And step 3, they hire you, right? Now, once people hear about you, there's actually a transition to get them to step 2. How do you get the people who hear about you to actually get on the phone with you to talk to you about how you can help them? So there's a whole process for doing that, which I'll be sharing in depth at Mastermind to Millions Live. And then how do you get the people, once they're on the phone with you, how do you get the people who are on the phone with you to actually say, yes, here's my credit card. I want to sign up for $25,000 for one-on-one coaching, or $50,000 for one-on-one coaching, or $100,000 for one-on-one coaching. Clients actually pay $100,000 a day to work with me now. But when I started off, I was charging $195 a month, and people would just sign up on a month-to-month basis. And
small
it was
change.
such a roller coaster ride of clients coming in, clients going away, and yeah, it's a huge quantum leap in results. But one of my clients is a confidence coach, and he gets clients paying him $50,000 to work with him for the year, not for a day, but for a year. One of the things I love about coaching is that the sky's the limit to how much money you can make. The sky's the limit to how much you can charge. The sky's the limit to how much people will pay. One of the things I've learned over the years is that no matter how little you charge, there's going to be people who can't afford it. And no matter how much you charge, there's going to be people who can't afford it.
Nicely put.
So, how do we find more people to have sessions with us? How do we find high quality prospects? And then what do we do when we're talking to them that's going to make them go, oh my God, I need your help. Please let me hire you. Here's my credit card. I can't wait for our next session. And I'm pumped to give you money and work with you.
I love that. Okay, so on that note of talking about coaching prices, how much is your mastermind? So how much is the big? $75,000. $75,000. And
yeah.
And my friends, he has a full roster and a rock star roster in terms of that entire process. So just so you know,
between 60 and 70 people are in Biggs right now.
Yes, and we were just talking about different mastermind structures, and I want to be really clear is that you have put together an unbelievably comprehensive bundle. Everything from your $1 million launch funnels to coaches to training to actual mastermind experiences, and it is perhaps, in terms of things that I've seen, I think it's the most comprehensive bundle I've ever seen. So there's lots of ways to do this, my friends, and if $75,000 stretches your vision of what's possible, hallelujah, and get your ass to Mastermind to Millions Live, where you get to see and experience Christian in person. So we are on the clock here for our close, brother. You already said, and I always love how you put things. You already said it's like, look, get to the environments where it makes the difference. And I say to people, it's like, we can move you further in 3 days in that environment than we can you working on your own 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. But if there is anyone where you're the close of the show, if there's anybody still going, I'm not sure it's worth catching a plane, I'm still wrestling with this idea, what would you say to somebody in terms of getting past what I'm going to call the silliness of excuses?
Sure. Well, and I want to be careful too, because I don't want to say that the quote unquote reasons why people feel like maybe it's not worth it necessarily. I don't want to say it's silly. I want to say that, there's a lot of valid reasons. I've got 3 young kids taking time away, flying, etc. And depending on where people are coming from. So I imagine like you, you're going to get like me, that you'll be getting people flying in from other countries coming to this event. Which that's the silly thing to me is when people go, oh, if only you had it in Atlanta. I'm like, Atlanta's like a 3-hour flight to San Diego. And people are coming from Australia. People are coming from, Germany. People are coming from all over. And you can't just hop on a little plane from Atlanta. Yeah. That's the thing that to me feels a little silly. But I get, taking the time out, the flight, the expense, etc.
So I just want to say something because I appreciate you saying that. So when I say silly, I mean the mechanical excuses that they use to stop themselves time and again. Whether that's getting on like that, that's what I mean by that. It's like they know it's the recurring tape. They know it's that thing that's been getting in their way, and they also know it's silly, but they still been buying it.
Yeah. Well, all I would say is that our lives can change in an instant, right? But it's not usually going to be the moment where you're sitting on the couch watching TV. Like those moments are not the life-changing moments. It's usually when, you know, you're in a new environment. I was just interviewing Evan Pagan for his new book, Opportunity. He talked about several things that changed his life. And many of those things were him putting himself in new environments, getting himself outside of his normal day-to-day routine and going and doing something different. And I agree 100%. Like I love live events. I love attending live events, and I love leading live events, and I love being in masterminds. I'm in 3 different masterminds right now, and I go to live events. You know, and you can learn so much more. There's so much to learn, right? You're going to learn. Let me just say this: you're going to learn a ton from what Jay is teaching. You're going to learn from modeling, unconsciously modeling and absorbing via osmosis things that Jay is doing, just in who he's being. You know, things that he's not necessarily saying out loud, but just in, you know, just by being around somebody with, you know, great integrity, somebody with, you know, a great heart that just really cares and wants to help. I mean, there's something powerful about being around people like that. And then being with all the other yay-sayers in the room, cheering you on, becoming your friends. I've made so many friends that have lasted a lifetime that I've met at these types of seminars. So, you know, and then those friends can become buddy coaches and mastermind, you know, buddies, and all sorts of things that can support your growth and support you in growing your business and support you in living life of your dreams. And then the other thing is that you could meet potential joint venture partners. You're going to run into people who could be promoting you and helping you grow your business. I don't know if, you know, some of you guys may have heard of Jeff Walker, Product Launch Formula. I've heard him many times tell the story of how he went to somebody else's live event, and then he was hanging out in the bar or a restaurant, you know, the hotel restaurant or something. He got to know a few other people, and those few other people became other big name, you know, business people that they've helped each other grow their businesses over the years, both by masterminding, but also by promoting each other. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those things are just never going to happen when you're hanging out all by your lonesome, you know, you're watching TV or on your computer. And then the last thing I'd say, I don't know, you know, not everybody has the same learning styles, but for me, you know, learning on a computer, you know, learning on a DVD, whatever, it's like, okay, I'll take that. But it's hard. Like, I'm not going to still spend, you know, 3 days straight just watching DVDs and watching, you know, watching the computer screen. But I love learning by being in an immersive environment. So give me a live event. That's my number one primary way I prefer to learn, is just being in a live event. You get to just go, take 3 days, whoosh, download it all, and then go get to work when you get home, versus like, you know, I'm going to take a thing and watch a video. And then especially most programs, self-study, you got to like force yourself to watch it. And then you like, I plan to get to that. I'm going to get to that. And then you didn't get to it. But you go in there live, and it's just like, all you got to do is sit in the room, and all the learning happens.
Well, and in fact, ours is incredibly experiential. You know, that whole thing you were talking about, the sort of syndicate that, you know, Jeff Walker, like we set up a practice WCC. They practice facilitating skills. Like it is so engaging that it will knock their socks off. So my friend, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate you making the time for this. I got to get this thing wrapped up in the next couple of minutes. So we will see you at Mastermind to Millions Live. Gang, if you are watching this and you are wanting to master that one-on-one conversation that would follow a wine conversation in cash, that would happen over the phone, this is a must-see. Like seriously, it is a must-see. So I will see you soon, my friend. We will talk soon, and thank you for making the time. Okay, take care, Christian. Bye-bye. All right, gang, so I'm going to move back over here while we wrap this thing up. You know, I just have to say that I am so blessed to be a part of the masterminds that I have been in. So Christian and I were in a mastermind with Jeff Walker. I'm still in Christian's mastermind. He and I participated with Justin Livingston in his mastermind. The relationships that, you know, I have had access to, quite frankly, have in large part come through my participation in Christian's mastermind, the Thought Leader Summit. And I just want to say thank you, brother. I appreciate it. And honestly, gang, if you can spend some time with him, that's just one of the things you got to do. All right. We are at the back end of this show. And I trust that you have learned what is necessary for you to put the steps and the sequence in order properly. That is the concept. That is where we're headed. That is the key elements. But I want to be clear about this. I have a specific agenda, and that specific agenda is to get you the support that you really need so that you can succeed at your mastermind. So what that means is I want you to get your butt to Mastermind to Millions Live. And if we can share that little screen there, we can see. I'm going to recap what this offer is. I'm going to go through it pretty quickly, and then I want to be clear about this. Is number one, you get a ticket to Mastermind to Millions Live. That's $997. Number two, you get the Mastermind Essentials online training, which is the 6 pillars of Masterminds that work. It will put that foundation underneath you so that you are going to get your mastermind set up properly from the beginning. Then you get the 30-day roadmap. That is 1 step a day. Email is going to send to you. You're going to create that momentum that is going to really, think of it like the big rock in Indiana Jones. So it might start a little slow, but you are going to be a force to be reckoned with when you get through those 30 days. Then you're going to come to Mastermind to Millions Live, but you're going to come a day early, and you're going to mastermind with me and my mastermind mentors to make sure you get the most out of that process. Now, all of those pieces together are $3,488, and I'm giving it to you for free. Now, I just need you to wrap your head and heart around this. For free, for crying out loud. I mean, there's nothing else I could do for you other than get in my car, drive to your house, pick you up, carry you all the way there, and actually take you to the event and then run your mastermind for you. Now, I want to support you, but not that much. So you need to do your part, which is take advantage of the most compelling and generous offer in the universe on mastermind training by clicking the button to the right. Click the button to the right. I strongly suggest, by the way, bring your wife, bring a business associate, bring somebody else that you did your coach training with, bring your assistant, bring whoever's going to help roll this mastermind out for real in your business. Because when they understand what it is and they experience it, as you will at that event, it is going to change your life and your business. I want to tell you again, the Mastermind to Millions Live program, we have world-class speakers who are there to serve and support you. Christian, obviously, is one of them. That man built a stunning business from scratch. We have Jason Gaynard, who runs the number one one-off mastermind event in the universe. Harder to get into mastermind talks than Harvard. Think that through all the way. Jane Powers is going to teach you how to actually sell the mastermind from stage. I gave you one little hint. She's going to give you a ton about how to position yourself, how to position your tribe, and how to position your offer so that people are saying yes to you. So this is what we have in store for you, not to mention a ton of resources. So the time is now. And I want to be clear about this. This is not to be paused. This is not to be worried about. You get yourself over to this page, you insert the little scenarios, you put 197 down. When you arrive, what transpires is simply this. You will pick up your name tag and I will give you your, well, no, it won't be me, it'll be my team. We'll give you your check back for $197. So it's free. All you need to do is say yes to your mission. Mission? That was vision and mission run together. You need to say yes to your vision. You need to say yes to your mission and need to get your butt to Mastermind to Millions Live, where we will serve, support, and give you everything you got that you need. So on that note, my friends, I'm going to play one last video in terms of Mastermind to Millions Live. And while we're doing that, if you have not already, you're going to click the button and get yourself registered. Because if you are here listening to this, if there is a mastermind in your future, this is a must do. So from the bottom of my heart, I look forward to serving and supporting you. I look forward to being behind the leaders in our world that plant their flag, lead their tribe, and make the difference that is necessary in the world. So we'll see you at Mastermind to Millions Live. Watch this video, click the button. Remember, your tribe is waiting.
A mastermind to me is a safe place for people to get together and to share their best dreams and goals with each other and to support each other and take their lives to places they would never have been if they just did it by themselves.
Bringing together a group of like-minded individuals who want to change something about who they are, how their business is run.
So this weekend at Mastermind to Millions was pretty much like the perfect missing piece that I needed in my business. I really was looking for a business model and a structure that fit my lifestyle business, where I really prioritize freedom.
It's been fun, it's been educational, it's been unbelievably inspiring.
The connections, the relationships, the networking.
But the quality of the information that we've actually got from stage had me writing down business ideas, tips, techniques that I can actually utilize in my business.
Just the general tenor of how the mastermind world operates and how we can use it, or how I can use it in my business, has been extraordinary.
Jay and Joshua are amazing on stage. They bring so much heart to their work. They're present, they're entertaining, they're energetic.
He's able to like really lovingly kick people's asses. Like, and it's just it's very precise.
He did a marvelous job. He's much deeper than I would have guessed.
They have a business mind, and they're also compassionate. A mixture I don't see that often at all.
His heart is there, and you just feel it and connect with it. And I know that he cares for each and every one of us, and he is going to make sure that we are going to succeed.
It's just a very overwhelming concept to watch two people who are that committed to improving people's lives. Well, I've met some people who I'm going to be joint venturing with. Also people who are like-minded, similar to what masterminds are about.
These are the kind of people that I want to go with. They have my best interest at heart. They want me to be the greatest. I want them to be the greatest. We support each other.
They were all ages, from relatively young to my age. And that was really nice to see. And so I was able to really connect with people.
I am a different person today than I was when I walked in here today before.
Rolling out the gold tonight. We're counting crowns. It's going down.